Hello, gamers. You're listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. This is episode number 133. And welcome back to another edition of the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. I'm Brent Fallising, and joining me tonight, Ben Boyce. And that's it. Frankie is in Seattle. Bender is out chasing married women around, so it's just me and you tonight, dude.
It's a normal Saturday night for Bender.
Oh my God, that guy is I'm telling you, man. He's got this image on here where he's this nice, sweet guy, but he is out chasing married women around tonight. It's just it's disturbing.
We know the real Bender.
Yeah. I don't know what they got in the water in Kansas, but he's drinking a lot of it. So very, very strange. But Mr. Boyce, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing all right, man. It's been a hell of a week.
Mm-hmm.
Been a really, really long week. A lot of stuff going on at work. A lot of stuff going on just in general.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's good to be here this evening.
Mm-hmm.
Good to talk some games with you.
Yes. We have a lot to talk about in terms of games. This week we had a really busy week. I touched Destiny 2 maybe twice this week because we were so busy with the Indie Spotlight Week special. We streamed 5 indie games this week because we couldn't choose just one. We had a ton of games we streamed. We streamed Splasher, Mecho Tales, Ruiner, SteamWorld Dig 2, and last night you streamed Hob. And all these games are very unique games, very unique gameplay styles, and all of them very cool games. I mean, I don't think we had too many issues with any of them. I mean, we had a couple of issues technically speaking, but in terms of the presentation and what we were playing, I think we enjoyed ourselves all week.
Yeah, definitely. It was a lot of fun to fire this up, and it's one of the things we've mentioned on the show before, but lost in the thick of the AAA games that have come out this year. It's been a very, very solid year for independent titles, and this week was just a testament to that. So many cool games were coming out this week. We couldn't pick just one for the Indie Spotlight, so we had to go ahead and stream a whole bunch of them. Thought the week started out really strong with Splasher, which was a game I got a chance to play. Really, really like that game. That's a sweet game. So if you have not checked out our video for Splasher, go and look at that one. That may have been my favorite game that I played all week. But a really cool mixture of like I want to say Meat Boy. It's nowhere near as hard as Super Meat Boy, but it's got that kind of like jumping over blades, that bouncing off walls, that type of platforming mixed with like Splatoon. I mean, you have a paint gun that you're going around and you're using paint in interesting ways to kind of navigate your way through the levels. I like how each level was different. Each level had a different hook. The hub world that you go through as you're going around saving people and trying to open up the different avenues to get into some of these different stages, I thought was neat. But it's a beautiful game, runs crisp, ultra smooth game, really, really fun title. I definitely recommend Splasher if you're a fan of 2D platforming games. This is a bit of a unique take on it, and I think you're really, really going to dig it if you like that genre.
No, that game looked really, really good. I watched that stream, and that one looked really, really good. Out of the games that I streamed Ruiner and SteamWorld Dig 2. I really like SteamWorld Dig 2, but I think Ruiner is the one I enjoyed the most this week. Just because it was a high-octane type of game. It's a cyberpunk, thriller type of game. It's based on revenge. It's very, very disturbing type of game. The premise is
not for the kiddies.
No, not at all. But a very entertaining game in terms of its combat. It's fast-paced combat. It's a very challenging game. But I enjoyed it thoroughly. I thought it was just a great presentation. The game ran great, looked good. And the combat was sweet, and there's a nice skill tree there. And there's for a game that's very similar to Hotline Miami, there's some other elements to the game like this. I wouldn't say it's open world, but you have like an open hub to explore before you go into certain areas, and there's like little quests that people will give you. Now these aren't like massive side quests, but they're objectives that'll earn you karma, which you can use to rank your character up. So there's like this cool open world, like little bits and pieces to it that kind of keeps things fresh. Because I mean, this could easily have just been clear out this room and go to the next. But there's a little bit more depth there in terms of ranking your character up. But I really liked Ruiner. I thought Ruiner was an awesome game.
Yeah, watching that stream, I thought that game looked incredibly awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So that looked like a game that was right up my alley. I haven't bought it yet, but I definitely will be purchasing that and picking it up based on what I saw on the stream there. And yeah, it was interesting. Like you said, you know, you watch trailers for these games and you think games are going to be one way, and then they don't necessarily always turn out that way. But Ruiner, like you mentioned, some of these other things like the hub world, the story elements, like some of that stuff was a little bit unexpected for me going into this game. And like you said, like the side quests aren't like Skyrim type stuff that we're talking about here, but that's like a cool addition to this type of game that we don't typically see in this genre. And just the skill-based combat, the dashing, the twin stick mechanics, which is stuff that I enjoy, and things like the Housemarque titles that I play, are alive and well in Ruiner. So I thought that game looked really, really good. I can't wait to play it myself.
I highly recommend jumping in and playing on hard right away too.
Yeah. Watched you do that, and nah, probably not.
But a fun game nonetheless, so it really hit on a lot of cylinders, and it was just, it was a very entertaining game. But all week long, we streamed indie titles. Make sure you check out our YouTube channel, Short Pause Gaming. We have them all listed right there on the site in the Tuesday Indie Spotlight section. You'll see all 5 videos of all the games that we streamed, and we really, really enjoyed them. So make sure you check those out. But boys, we actually managed to get another game, and we didn't stream it. But I had mine pre-ordered, but we weren't too sure if you were going to be able to play Cuphead on your PC. But lo and behold, your PC, 8 years old, was up to the job.
Still chugging along, man. And I don't know that we've ever talked about this on the podcast, but I built my PC almost 8 years ago now, and I'm not a huge PC gamer, but there's 3 PC games I've played over the last few years that I couldn't get when they came out on PlayStation, whatever console I had. So one of them was Shovel Knight. So when that came out, picked that up on Steam, played through that on the computer, was able to play through that fine. Next was Inside. So picked that up, played through that on the PC, had no issues. And now Cuphead, I looked at the system requirements for it, and I was like, man, I actually have this, and I have it by a mile. Like the system requirements for Cuphead are very, very low. So if you have a PC from the last 9 or 10 years, you might be able to run this game. just check the specs. It's a possibility. But I built the unit to be pretty beefy at the time when I built it back a while ago. So it's been able to stand the test of time for me. I do need to update it at some point. I'm just not a huge PC gamer. It's just I use my PC for other stuff, for Short Pause and work and a bunch of other stuff that I do. But gaming is not my main focus on the PC, so I don't feel overly compelled to update it. But at some point, I do need to get in there and tinker with the innards and update it a little bit. But yeah, I was happy that I was able to get in there. I played Cuphead, ran it at 1080p 60, so I was happy to be able to get in there and do that. And yeah, Cuphead is sweet, really, really cool game. I'm so happy with the way that it turned out. I've been worried about this game for a while now. It's been in I don't want to say development hell, but it's been in development for a very, very long time. There was a lot of hearsay when the game was transitioning from a strictly boss rush experience to the experience that it is now. So regardless of what condition the game was in at that point when they started to implement the platforming stages, the point that it's at now is really solid, and I think it plays really well. It's a really, really cool looking game. There's no other game that looks like it or that has ever looked like it before. So just how they were able to do that is just awesome. So getting in there and playing, it's skill based. It's very challenging, like we've heard, but it's not unfair. That's at least from my experience. Anytime that I failed in Cuphead or that I made a mistake, I felt like it was on me. I don't felt like the game was being unfair in that respect. Now, granted, I'm only in the first stage right now, so this could change as we progress through. But after a couple hours with the game, I don't feel like the difficulty is too great. And this is a game that's right on my alley. Just a 2-dimensional run and gun shooter. It's got an unexpectedly dark story attached to it for a couple of guys who are anthropomorphic drinking utensils. But yeah, I thought Cuphead was awesome, man. Really, really had a good time with it. I'm gonna keep playing through it the next few few days, weeks, however long it takes me to get through it. But I'm gonna keep playing through it while I'm playing through Destiny, and I thought it was awesome, man. Happy that I'm able to fire it up on the PC.
Yeah, I'm with you on all fronts. It's a gorgeous looking game. I absolutely can't get over how awesome it is to watch that game in motion at 60 frames with just that beautiful animation. I mean, dude, there's so many times I've died. I think right now in the second world, the second aisle that you go to, there's like a big fountain that'll actually tell you how many times you've died. And
nice.
it told me 41 times. And I can tell you right now, probably 11 of those are from me just like going, wow, that's beautiful. I'm not paying attention to my surroundings. And no, I don't think the game's unfair at all. I think it can be overwhelming. But again, a lot of the situations can be avoided if you just learn the boss's patterns, learn the enemy's patterns, and just play it safe, play it smart until you learn the level, and then you can try to make it through quicker. But I think the true difficulty, I mean, you can basically get to the boss if you're not worried about a lot of the other things that you can get along the way. Like, I think most boards in the first area are, there's additional, like, side objectives for you to accomplish. 3 parries, grab 6 or 3 coins, grab 6 or do 6 super attacks, and then and beat it in a certain amount of time. And I think it's those things, when you try to go for that A+ ranking, I think that's where the difficulty kind of starts to seep in. And that's where you can be like, okay, here's where the challenge lies. If you're not focusing on that stuff, especially the parries and grabbing coins, you can get through the levels with some practice. It's not nearly as difficult. But when you try to go for that A ranking, that's where the game is going to really start becoming a challenge.
Yeah, definitely. And that's kind of what extends the life of these games too. Like Cuphead is a game that only has 3 worlds, so to speak. So you could breeze through this game quickly, but the like meat of the game is going in there and accomplishing, like you said, that checklist of things to do and getting those A+ rankings in each of those stages. So I've gone back and A+ ranked several of the stages that I went through now, and that to me is where the fun is at in these games. It's the same thing with these games where you chase like the 3 stars or the whatever. It's got that same type of feel to it. So I love that about the game for sure. The soundtrack is awesome as well. The 30s like soundtrack, big band soundtrack they have for it fits the game perfectly. And it's just an incredibly just imaginative game. The animation is just ridiculous. And I can't wait to play more of it. I'm really, really impressed with the game. Far more impressed than I thought I was going to be rolling up to this point. But it when I saw it reviewing really well and I got my hands on it and got to feel it, firsthand, that was when I knew. I was like, all right, this thing is sweet. So so kudos to Studio MDHR, but loving Cuphead so far. It's a lot of fun.
And that soundtrack is incredible. I actually picked it up today from Bandcamp. I'll put the link down to the wipe or the site where you can pick it up for $10. You get 56 tracks, damn near 3 hours worth of music that is just awesome to listen to. So really good soundtrack for $10. 56 tracks is pretty good. And
3 hours for a game that when all is said and done, it could be beaten in 3 hours, maybe less once you get good at it. I don't know.
Right. No, it's an awesome game. I've really enjoyed it as well. So we'll have a video up of that later this week. We're going to stream that as well. So make sure you follow us on YouTube, Short Pause Gaming. Subscribe. If you like the videos, go ahead and give them a thumbs up. If you don't like them, if you want to give them a thumbs down, that's cool. We respect that. Just make sure you sound off in the comments. Let us know what you didn't like about it so we can, try to improve ourselves going forward. But, Mr. Boyce, let's jump into the new releases, man. We got a PlayStation Plus lineup to discuss here.
We do. And it's a very, very good lineup, if I do say so myself. So October's PlayStation Plus games have been revealed. Obviously, these will go live on Tuesday. So if you haven't grabbed September's games, make sure you get in there and do that before Tuesday. But starting this upcoming Tuesday, October 3rd, PlayStation Plus members will have access to Metal Gear Solid 5, big-time AAA game coming for free to the platform, and the Amnesia Collection, just in time for Halloween. So a nice horror game to throw in there for Plus fans. On the PS3 side of things, we've got Monster Hunter Jam Battlegrounds and Hustle Kings, a couple of older games on the platform, and then 2 cross-buy titles for the Vita. So these are both not only Vita games, but they're PS4 games as well. So once again, you'll get 4 PS4 games for the month of October. Hue, which is, from what I understand, is a very, very good puzzle game. It's a curve joint. Will be available on both the Vita and PS4. It's a game I haven't checked out yet, but I really, really want to. And then Skyforce Anniversary, which I believe is a shoot 'em up. That was it came out a few years back. That will also be available on the Vita and the PS4. A couple other things to note here from Plus as well. That's You, the first PlayLink title, is still available for free, and it will be until October 24th. So if you haven't picked that one up yet and you're a Plus subscriber, make sure you do that prior to that date so that you pick that up for free. And Rigs, still free now as well until November 7th. So if you haven't picked up Rigs for PSVR, do that at some point. And starting on October 10th, Sony is planning a PlayStation VR 1-year anniversary sale on the PlayStation Store. Sounds like there'll be some additional discounts for Plus members. They put it in the Plus post when they were talking about this. So I'm anticipating some good discounts on some of these games. I'm probably gonna hop in there and buy some of these. Maybe even some of the ones that I have on disc. Maybe pick up a digital copy for it as well if the prices are good enough. But excited to see what they have on the docket for that. And then one more thing, Hand of the Gods, Smite Tactics, the closed beta starts October 17th, and as a Plus member, you will have access to that. You'll also have access to a Plus pack for the game, which has a variety of items in there, and that will be available until November 14th. So, Brent, a very, very busy October PS Plus games lineup. What do you think about this, man?
Oh, Metal Gear Solid 5. Awesome. Yeah. I am actually really glad, dude. I held off on buying the Amnesia collection.
So did I.
I did not buy that, so I'm actually really hyped that I'm going to get this game for free, and I think this will be one of the games I'm going to stream in October. I'm going to try to stream some horror games in October because I love Halloween. I just love horror movies in general. I love the horror genre, and October is the perfect time, so I'll probably stream some Amnesia collection. I might revisit Alien Isolation. So there's some, yeah, I'm digging deep, dude. I haven't played PT in a long time, so I might revisit that, give that a look-see, so... I'm looking forward to just streaming some horror games, man. But Amnesia Collection, that's sweet. Monster Jam Battlegrounds, I don't know anything about it. Hustle Kings, I remember playing that. That was actually a pretty fun game. Hue is a really, really, really good game. I played that before. I played it on the Vita. It is an excellent game. Don't know anything about Skyforce Anniversary or That's You. I mean, I know what it is, but that's whatever. But no, I mean, in terms of like the Plus games, that's a sweet lineup, dude.
Yeah. Really solid line. I mean, Metal Gear itself could give you 200 hours of gameplay right there from that. So that's a huge title to get as a part of the Plus lineup. And yeah, I held off on Amnesia as well. I was actually thinking about that as well, thinking about us doing some type of a horror stream. I think it would be fun if we worked out some type of like a horror marathon or something, maybe leading up to Halloween. Maybe we can work out the details of that, but maybe get all of us in there. Sans Bender streaming some of these horror games and see what happens. I mean, we got a lot of them to choose from, especially in recent years. The horror genre has kind of seen an uptick. So we've got Resident Evil 7 and PT and Outlast and things like that to draw from, in addition to everything that's come out previously. So yeah, I think that would be a lot of fun, man. But really, really solid lineup for Plus. So you'll have access to that this Tuesday. Now, also Tuesday, we've got the new releases, and we'll start things off with Dragon's Dogma: Dark Arisen. Now, this was a PS3 360 game. It came out in I think it was 2012, or somewhere around there. But the first version of the game came out, and there's a cult following around this game. People really liked Dragon's Dogma, but from what I understand, it had some technical issues. I've never played Dragon's Dogma, so I'm just going off what I've heard about the game. But they released the Dark Arisen expansion for it, which added something like 15 hours worth of new stuff to Dragon's Dogma, and they kind of re-released the game as Dark Arisen with the DLC intact. And I believe that may have addressed some of the technical issues in addition to adding in some of the additional content. But now, here we are in the current gen with the power of the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. Capcom going back to Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen and re-releasing it again in basically like a, I don't know what you want to call it, like definitive edition version of this game for current gen systems. This will be available both at digital and at retail. It's only $30, so it's not a full price release. And Brent, from what I understand about this game, this is a very beloved game by the people that have played it. In in certain circles, this is a very highly regarded game.
Mhm.
When I look at it, I want to think like Dark Souls or something like that, but people say it's unique. It's kind of its own version of an action RPG, and I know there's dragons that you battle in here, and that's a big part of the game. Don't know a whole lot about this franchise, but I know the people that love it, they really love it. What do you know about Dragon's Dogma, man?
Just about as much as you do. I know a couple
Yeah.
people personally who have played this game, and they speak very, very, very highly of it, and they're really
Mhm.
actually really excited for this relaunch. So, I've always admired it from afar. I've always been interested in it, but for $30, I thought you were going to tell me $59.99, but for $29.99, okay. You've got my attention.
Yeah, $30, man. So I expect this to be downloaded on your system on Tuesday. I know how that one's gonna go, so I'll probably end up picking this up as well. I want to support the game because I've heard great things about it and do want to play it at some point. And I do like these action RPGs. It's just damn near impossible to find the time to play them. But heard some great things about this one. Definitely want to check it out for myself. There's some comparison videos out there showing next gen to current gen. Looks pretty good. Looks like the frame rate's gonna, that's one of the big things that they're focusing on with this definitive edition is the frame rate and getting that up to where it's supposed to be. So I think we could be looking at a smooth version of Dragon's Dogma here, which could be really, really cool. So that'll be out Tuesday. Another big Tuesday title, Battle Chasers Night War, coming out both digital and at retail as well. Just a heads up too, if you have not pre-ordered this game and you're interested in it, it's 10% off if you pre-order it. So take advantage of that if you haven't. I'd imagine it's the same way on Xbox One. I know that's how it is on PS4. Not 100% sure if it's that way across all platforms, but just be on the lookout for that. So Frankie's been playing through this game. Now we'll have his we'll have his thoughts on Battle Chasers on the embargo lifts Monday, right?
Yep.
Okay. So review embargo for Battle Chasers hits on Monday. So we'll have Frankie's thoughts of the game up on Monday, and then we have a video up right now of Battle Chasers of the first 20 minutes. You can kind of get in there and see how it plays, at least at the start. And I was kind of surprised when I watched this, Brent. It's a beautiful game. Battle Chasers based on a comic series, Joe Madureira, who's one of my all-time favorite artists. He drew Uncanny X-Men back in many moons ago, and after he left Uncanny X-Men, he went and created a comic series called Battle Chasers. It was always marred by delays, and it never really reached its potential. Only 9 issues of the series ever came out, but it had some cool ideas, some cool characters. Obviously, Joe Mad's art is legendary. So it's all that stuff was there, but he never got to properly kind of flesh out the series the way it was meant to be fleshed out. And I know that's one of the things he's always wanted to do, is to do that through a video game and through through his company here. So with Airship Syndicate, now they've come in, they have the Battle Chasers game. Finally, after all these years, we're revisiting the Battle Chasers, and the comic book art style in this game looks great. And but like I was saying, I was surprised to see this was like a classic turn-based RPG game. I didn't really realize that going into this. I don't know, for some reason I thought this was like a strategy RPG or something along those lines, but it's actually a turn-based traditional like RPG game through and through. So I was really, really intrigued by that. I was like, oh, so this is the kind of game that is. Okay. This is the kind of stuff I love. This is the kind of stuff I grew up playing on Super Nintendo that I really, really liked, and what got me into the RPG genre. So the fact that it's based on a comic series that I know that I've enjoyed in the past, I really, really want to get in here and check this out. What are you thinking about Battle Chasers, man?
I'm picking this up. I mean, this is just based on what I saw in Frankie's video. This game looks beautiful. We've seen trailers before of this game, but you got a good look at the combat in Frankie's video. You got to see some of the characters you're going to meet along the way. It does look like there's going to be some strong story elements to it. So yeah, this is the one I'm looking forward to most this week.
Cool. So Frankie's article will be up on Monday. Make sure you come on over to the site, shortpause.com. We'll have it up there. I think the embargo is at like 3 a.m. or something on Monday. So whenever you pop onto the website on Monday, the article will be up there for you to check out, so you can check out what he thought about the game. All right, moving on from there. Batman the Telltale series, The Enemy Within, Episode 2, The Pact. will be out this Tuesday, so we'll continue on with the latest season of the Telltale series. So far, so good. We got one episode in August, getting one episode right at the end of September and into the beginning of October. So we'll let that one slide. But yeah, people once again enjoying this series immensely. I I feel bad for not having played any of these games yet. It's really bad. So I need to get in here and experience these at some point. Obviously, I love Batman, huge Batman fan. Heard nothing but great things from Batman fans about the way this series is being handled. So I need to get in here and play these games. Brent, have you surpassed the first episode yet? Or are you still back there as well?
Oh, I'm way back there.
Cool. So we'll watch this hit the store and do nothing about it. Also this week, WRC7. This came out on the Xbox One last week. This is the rally racing game. It'll be out on PS4 this week. The Hunter: Call of the Wild. What is this franchise? It's and why is the in lowercase letters, and why is it attached to Hunter? Like, why is it all one word, and why is the lowercase? Like, I'm not familiar with this franchise. It's some type of a brand, but the Hunter: Call of the Wild.
I don't understand why it's the Hunter like that. I mean, unless they're just trying to be unique, I would just say maybe they miswrote it and they just let it go. They're just like, we're not gonna change it.
just kind of let that one slide.
Yeah, no one will notice. It's not. Yeah, it's coming out in October. No one's gonna notice it anyways.
Is it just me, or are there like more and more hunting games
coming out? There are
a
ton of hunting games.
It seems
tons of them.
Seems like every other week we've got a hunting game popping up on the new release list.
Mm-hmm.
So this one, don't know what's gonna set this one apart from any other one, other than it's branded by the Hunter, whoever the hell this guy is, or girl. But the Hunter: Call of the Wild, it'll be out Monday. This one's coming to retail and digital as well, so pick it up at the store if you want to. Now, Mystic Bell is probably the game we're going to feature on the Tuesday Night Indie Spotlight. This is a game developed by a developer known as, I believe it's Last Dimension, but it's been picked up by Way Forward, and they're going to publish it here in the States. They're going to publish it on consoles. This is an older game. It's been out on PC for a few years now. So Way Forward's grabbing it. They're going to publish it on consoles this Tuesday, and it kind of struck me as this isn't. It's a game that mixes a Metroidvania and a point-and-click adventure. So watching the video, I'm trying to figure out how this works. So I don't know how much pointing and clicking there is in this game. But it looks like there's some type of a system where you combine items in order to solve puzzles or to do certain things in the game. So I'm wondering if that's where the point and click element comes in. Obviously, games, those kind of games, those Tim Schafer games where you have to get all these weird items. You have to figure out how they work together in order to get from point A to point B. Seems like there's going to be an element of that in Mystic Bell. And then there's, your traditional platforming and action that you find in your Metroidvania games. So it seems like an interesting game. Like I said, it's a couple years old now, but sounds like a good one to fire up for the spotlight. You seen anything from this, Brent?
No, I haven't.
No, not really. So we'll fire it up on Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern on the Spotlight. We'll see what it's all about. Also this week, Judge with a Y. That's
Judge with a Y. Oh,
that's we might need to get 10 tons on the horn. Explain to them that's kind of not how words work. But it's, from what I can gather, it's pronounced Judge, but it's spelled with a Y, JYDGE. So not understanding where they're getting that from. But hey, if you're cool and edgy, use a Y.
Well, I mean, look, you got the Hunter is one word. I mean, why not have Judge in here spelled wrong too? So that's fine.
Yeah, I think we're getting a little loose with grammar in the video game scene. But Judge, 10 tons. They've made Neon Chrome, so more of a traditional just twin stick shooter. They made Time Recoil, which we featured on the Indie Spotlight recently, which is a really cool twin stick shooter with time elements. And now we have Judge, which is another twin stick shooter, which looks very similar to Time Recoil and Neon Chrome. These all share, similar kind of aesthetics and kind of development tools, it looks like. But Judge's hook is that it appears that you can kind of customize and create your own characters. So you can do different things to customize your weaponry and your design, maybe the armor or whatever that your character wears. So that seems to be the hook with this one. So 3 similar twin stick shooters, but all with their own separate hook. So 10 tons continuing to crank these things out. Judge looks like it could be fun. I know those other 2 were. So I have a good feeling that one's going to be pretty fun as well. Twin Robots is cross-buy with the Vita. It's a puzzle platformer game. Expand, very interesting looking game. I was leaning towards this one for the spotlight as well, but a kind of surreal, laid back, like black and white puzzle game where you're trying to navigate this square, or this, I think it's a square, through these different mazes that are kind of rotating and almost hypnotic.
Hmm.
You gotta watch the trailer to understand what I'm talking about. But go watch a trailer for Expand on the PS4 and check that one out. That's a cool looking title. Detention is I believe it's a Taiwanese horror game set in the 60s.
Hmm.
That one looks really interesting as well. Now this Battle Garega game that we talked about last week, it's coming to the PS4 now this week. It was on the Xbox last week. This is that $35 1996 vertical shoot 'em up game. It's coming out on Friday. But I read a little bit more about this, Brent, and apparently in some circles, this is considered the best shoot 'em up of all time.
Oh,
Which I was surprised about. I didn't know much about Battle Garega, but I guess this game has a love it and hate it relationship with the shoot 'em up crowd.
Hmm.
So some people don't like it, and it's got some issues in their eyes, and some people think it's the best thing since sliced bread.
Hmm.
So apparently, what this game does is it has there's two issues that are polarizing. One, the bullets in the game look like actual bullets. So set against the kind of dreary landscape that this game is set in, it can be hard to distinguish the bullets when you're on the screen and there's a bunch of them flying around you at once. So in a lot of these shoot 'em up games, there's like lasers or yellow bullets or purple bullets or whatever. They're easy to see on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
But Battle Garega has chosen a more realistic approach for their bullets, so they can get lost in the scenery. That's an issue some people have. Some people say not an issue. It's part of the game, no biggie. The other thing is that the difficulty of this game scales, and apparently the game doesn't tell you that. So as you play, the better you do, the harder the game's going to get.
Oh wow.
So this game can get incredibly difficult as you go through it, and some people love it for that.
Hmm.
So it's an interesting sounding title, but yeah, this one's gonna have to come down in price for me to take the plunge on it. I just can't do $35 for a 1996 arcade game. I just can't do it. No matter how many people love it. So we'll wait for the price on that one to come down. Also this week, Batman, the Telltale series, The Enemy Within is coming to retail, so you'll be able to pick up the season pass disc. So once again, this is the weird thing where you get 1 or 2 episodes on the disc, you download the rest of them at a later date. Kind of defeats the whole purpose. Totally weird. Couple things we missed from last week now I wanted to throw in here. Warriors All-Stars, which is that Tecmo Koei game. It's like a Dynasty Warriors game, but it stars a bunch of characters from throughout Tecmo Koei. That game's out now. Marvel Heroes Omega has an Age of Apocalypse event going on right now, which I really want to get in here and check this out. Apocalypse has always been one of my favorite X-Men villains, but he's got some type of a mission or whatever that you can go in and face off against him and his 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse. That looks pretty cool. Valkyrie's Warzone expansion came out last week, which we failed to mention. So this is the one that brings the game out of VR into just regular TV play if you so choose.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the VR aspects are still there. There's new ships, new areas. I think there's some new modes and everything else. So it's a pretty big update for this game. I love Valkyrie, though. To me, that's still the gold standard in VR games. Neo Bloodshed's End, the final piece of Neo DLC, came out last week, so that's available right now. Neon Chrome's Arena DLC is out now. Stern Pinball got the Ghostbusters Premium Edition, so Frankie, be on the lookout for that. The Pinball Arcade Season 6 tables came out to PS3 last week, so those are available now if you are on that platform. Now, this one, I didn't even realize this was happening this week, Brent. But we've talked about this a little bit, but it kind of snuck up on us, man. I mean, we've been playing Destiny for the last month, and things have been kind of flying by the seat of our pants here. But the Star Wars Battlefront 2 beta starts this week.
I know.
Pre-orders go live on October 4th. That's Wednesday. So on Wednesday, if you pre-order Star Wars Battlefront 2, you're going to be in the beta playing the game. Everybody else hops in on October 6th, and the beta runs through October 9th. Now, there's a variety of things you'll be able to play in the beta. Recently, this week, they unveiled this arcade mode, though, which is cool. It's actually a 10v10, and it lets you play against AI opponents. So you can actually jump in there solo or with other people, and you guys can actually hone your skills before you jump into the PvP or the main crux of the game with other players. So I think that's a nice addition for this game. There can be a lot to learn. Battlefront 2 is going to be much more complicated than the original Battlefront. So having a mode like this where you can kind of, hone your skills, cut your teeth, so to speak, I think this is a good move for this game. We also saw a single player story scene for the game from this week as well. That kind of touched on this messenger droid,
Hmm.
which is apparently a member of the Empire. But they're these creepy things that have the face of the Emperor of Palpatine, like in their mask, and it kind of digitally displays his face.
Hmm.
This was apparently some kind of protocol that he set up prior to his demise at the end of Return of the Jedi. Um, should he see an untimely demise? So the Emperor thinking way ahead with this kind of stuff, but he already had all this stuff planned out. So they were talking about how the game is going to touch on this, and this is going to be kind of the one of the jumping off points at the beginning of the story here is how this quote unquote contingency, that's what they call it, the contingency is set up, and how that factors into what Aiden's going to go through, and how the story is going to play out. But really, really interested to play this game, man. The more and more I hear about the story, I get more excited about it. But to fill in some of those blanks between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens is pretty exciting. We know Luke's going to be in there at some point. I think Kylo Ren's going to be in there too. So we're gonna see some story threads picked up on, and this could end up being like a really, really big part of the greater Star Wars whole. Also, they laid out the modes that are going to be in the final version of the game when it launches. So, in the beta, you'll get arcade mode. I think you're going to have the Starfighter Assault and the Galactic Assault. Those will be in there
Hmm.
to be able to test those out when the game officially launches. So there will be 3 prequel era maps: Camino, Kashyyyk, and Theed, 5 original trilogy maps, Death Star to Endor, Mos Eisley, Yavin 4, and Hoth, and 3 Force Awakens era maps: Starkiller Base, Jakku, and Takodana.
Nice.
Which that one doesn't sound familiar. I'm guessing that's from The Last Jedi. Um, so those are the official areas that the game will have when it launches, and the modes were also revealed. So one of the new modes they revealed is called Strike, where 2 8-player teams will compete in objective-based missions. So more like intimate style of Battlefront game. That sounds kind of cool.
Hmm.
There's also Starfighter Assault, which we've heard about. So you'll assume control over hero ships, fighters, bombers, and interceptors as 2 teams engage in multi-stage objective-based space battles. I love these multi-stage
Those are
objective-based modes
awesome.
that are in Battlefront. They're really cool. There's also going to be a heroes versus villains mode where various characters from the Star Wars universe fight against each other in 4-on-4 team battles. So another more like intimate mode that we're seeing. So they're kind of getting outside of their comfort zone a little bit with Battlefront, and touching on some new ways to play the game. Additionally, there's arcade mode, which we talked about. So single player or split screen multiplayer on consoles where you take on AI foes in various scenarios. Then of course there's Galactic Assault where you battle on a series of large team oriented objective based maps. So what do you think about all that, Brent? So it sounds like they're gonna have a nice little suite when the game comes out. Obviously we have the full on single player campaign. Sounds like we've got a robust multiplayer suite. The multiplayer is much more in depth than we've seen in the first Battlefront with the class based system and some of the other things that we've seen from the game. What are your thoughts on Battlefront 2, man? You gonna be hopping into the beta this week?
Yeah, I actually think I'm going to run out and pre-order it before the 4th so I can get in there on Wednesday. But no, I'm excited for Battlefront 2 simply because like I liked Battlefront, the first one that came out a couple years back. I just felt it was too shallow, and even the multiplayer stuff, as cool as it was, I mean, they nailed the Star Wars element to it. I mean, everything, it felt like you're in Star Wars. There were a lot of cool moments where I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. But after a while, I just lost interest really quick because it just didn't have the depth I was hoping it would have. This seems to address a lot of those issues. We're getting a full-on single-player campaign that sounds fantastic, sounds really intriguing. It could be really, really good. And then obviously, like you mentioned, the multiplayer is much more in depth. There's way more to it. There's the large-scale battles, but then there's also smaller, more intimate battles. And that's where I'd like to be at. I like the open level stuff, the big stuff. That stuff's cool. But I love being in the smaller, more team oriented stuff. So it sounds like they're adding the type of multiplayer that I really enjoy, and I'm getting a full on single player experience. So this is, to me, this is going to be the definitive Battlefront game once it releases.
Yeah, Like I said, dude, the more and more I hear about this game, like the more exciting it sounds. And with a multiplayer suite that's spanning the gamut from 40 players to 4v4 matches and everything in between, to the full-on single-player campaign, to all three Star Wars eras in one game,
Hmm.
to to all the different heroes and villains that are gonna be in here. Like this sounds like a really, really exciting product, and I got a feeling that this thing's gonna be really, really big when it launches in mid-November when it comes out. So be on the lookout for that. I know EA is expecting this to be quite possibly the biggest beta that they've ever done in their history. So they've warned you beforehand. If the download is a little bit slow,
Hmm.
just take that into account. There's a lot of people that are gonna be hopping into this thing. So yeah, so exciting times for Battlefront, man. Seriously, this snuck up on me. I didn't realize this was happening. Didn't realize this was happening this week. So be on the lookout for that. Of course, this will be on the Xbox One as well as the PS4. All right, now on the PSVR side of things, one thing we missed last week is this Chernobyl VR project. And this is another one of those things, Brent, where this is kind of a glimpse into what we could see VR be more of in the future.
Hmm.
But you can actually go and visit Chernobyl without going there. Obviously, you don't want to go there. It's a nuclear site it's got some health issues if you were to go there in person. So, but you can actually visit Chernobyl through the VR headset through this app or experience. And I don't know, for history buffs or people that are in this kind of thing, that's kind of cool.
I didn't even know that was out. I'm actually going to download that. I've always wanted to
Yeah.
see something. I mean, obviously, we love the VR gameplay elements. We love the games that we've been able to experience in VR. But this is one of the things that we talked about, something that's outside of gaming, but is still very, very useful in VR. You know, the things we've talked about, concerts, being able to watch concerts in VR, actually being there, wearing the headset, looking around. This is the first step. These are like the first baby steps we are getting to that stuff. So I'm actually going to download this and check this out.
Yeah, this is, and last week when we talked about the Tokyo Game Show, we talked about that
Hmm.
Studio Japan concert app that they have coming out where you can actually get in there and listen to a concert. So we're starting to see some of these ideas kind of come to fruition now, and it'll be cool to see where they go with this stuff in the future. But it's exciting nonetheless. Um, and then Sony mentioned this week. I thought it was worth noting here, but over 100 games now support PlayStation VR, man. So the system's been out, or the headset's been out for almost a year now. We talked about the 1 year anniversary sale that's coming in a couple weeks here to the PlayStation Store. But how about that, dude? Over 100 games now on PSVR. So it kind of puts things a little bit in perspective here. I haven't even played half of those
No.
games.
Mm-mm.
So there's a lot of VR experiences out there that I haven't even sniffed. And I think it's a fledgling technology,
Mhm.
but I think the future is bright for this. A lot of people are interested in it. I feel like Sony still has a lot of support behind this product, so they're going to keep pushing this. And the industry as a whole is just behind VR still.
Mhm.
So it's going to be exciting to see where it goes from here now. But over 100 games now available on PlayStation VR, so it's a decent library if you pick up one of those
Oh
headsets, man.
yeah, absolutely.
On the Vita this week, Save the Ninja Clans coming out on Friday. This is a game that's been on other platforms. I know it's on the PS4 and PC. I believe it's on the Xbox One as well. But they, a fast-paced, platforming, two-dimensional Meat Boy kind of a game, just with ninjas. And twin robots, like we mentioned on the PS4, will be cross-buy with the PS4 on the Vita this week as well. Jumping to Xbox One now, Brent, and with PlayStation Plus comes Games with Gold.
Hmm.
So we have October's Games with Gold lineup, and it reads as follows. So Gone Home will be available on the Xbox One from October 1st through the 31st. The Turing Test, which is that newish, like astronaut puzzle game,
Hmm.
that's available October 16th through November 15th on the Xbox One. Rayman 3 HD will be available October 1st to the 15th on the Xbox 360. Of course, will be backwards compatible on the Xbox One. And Medal of Honor Airborne, October 16th to the 31st on the Xbox 360. Once again, backwards compatible with the Xbox One.
Mhm.
So your thoughts on this lineup, Brent?
We've talked about it many times, but Gone Home is just an instant purchase, and if it's free, download it and play it. It's an amazing game. I absolutely loved Gone Home, so definitely pick that up October 1st. Download that immediately. It's that good. The Turing Test, I don't know much about that. I mean, I've heard of it, but I don't own it, so I'll download that and check it out. I like puzzle games, and that sounds pretty cool. It's something that takes place in space, you said?
I think you're in some type of like a space facility, I believe, and I want to say there's like some portal-y elements.
Okay.
Maybe.
Well, that's a download for sure.
Yeah.
And then obviously Rayman 3 and Medal of Honor Airborne. That's awesome. I just don't do backwards compatible stuff.
Yeah. Medal of Honor Airborne. Was that a good one? That's a really old game.
I don't remember that one.
Can't remember if that was one of the good ones or not. Yeah, I was thinking about that the other day, but Medal of Honor kind of paved the way for Call of Duty.
Mhm.
You know, when those games came out, and then at one point that series just kind of fell off the horse.
I actually liked the first one when they brought it back on PS3 and 360. I actually liked the first Medal of Honor. Warfighter was the second one. I didn't really care for that one. I thought that one was kind of weak. But I thought the first one was really, really good.
I loved that one, dude.
Mhm.
I really, really liked that one. The tier 1 stuff
Yes.
in Medal of Honor. Yeah, I thought that game was actually really fun.
Mhm.
I really liked the multiplayer in that game too.
Yeah.
There was one map in particular. The name of it escapes me now, but I used to just play that one over and over and over. I thought it was a really, really fun map.
Mhm.
It was there was like a bombed out building in like the center of the map that you were fighting in.
Mhm.
But I digress. So yeah, so that's your games with gold lineup. I actually have never played Gone Home.
Oh man, it's so
as
good.
crazy as that is.
It's so good.
I need to do that. Do need to do that at some point. So those games with gold games starting on the 1st, you'll be able to get Gone Home and Rayman 3, and then the other ones you'll pick up throughout the month. So keep an eye out for those. A couple of things that are available right now that we missed last week: Firefighters Airport Fire Department, available on the Xbox One as well, and Arcade Archives Neo Geo Burning Fight, a side-scrolling beat-em-up brawler game. That's available now on the platform. Coming this week, The Hunter Call of the Wild will, of course, be on there on Monday. On Tuesday, WRC7 will hit retail. It's already available digitally. Batman the Telltale series, The Enemy Within, will be available at retail. Minecraft Story Mode Season 2 hits Xbox 360 at retail. No PS3 retail on that one. That's interesting. And then Forza Motorsport 7 will get its official release this Tuesday. Obviously, the Ultimate Edition came out yesterday and Friday as we're recording this. So if you didn't pre-order the Ultimate Edition or you didn't pick that one up, you'll be able to pick up the regular standard edition of the game on Tuesday for its kind of official launch. There'll also be a Fate of the Furious car pack available for the game, which will get you 10 cars from that franchise if you're so interested. Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen will be out on Tuesday. Batman the Telltale series, The Enemy Within, Episode 2, The Pact, will be available on Xbox One on Tuesday. Mystic Bell will be on there as well as Let Them Come, a kind of pixel art. You kind of stand in this. Looks like you stand in this stationary like gunner, and then things are coming at you, and you just kind of mow them down. Interesting looking title. Marble Void's also coming out on Tuesday. This is kind of like a 3D modern take on Marble Madness almost. On Wednesday, a couple of games that have been out elsewhere but have been very well received. N++ will be on there, as well as Inversus Deluxe. On Friday, Judge with a Y will be on the system. The Culling 1.0, a Frankie Ayler joint, if I've ever seen one, will be available on Friday. Comes out of its game preview. Frankie did not enjoy that game at all in its game preview state. Could be much different now that it's in its 1.0 state. Don't know, but it wasn't that long ago, was it? That he was playing this. So don't know how much the game's gonna have changed since then. So just keep that in mind before you hop into that one. But that's one of these battle royale games, just on a much smaller, more intimate scale. I believe it's first person as well. Bold Boy, a game we saw on the Switch earlier this year. It's coming to the Xbox One on Friday. Iron Wings, dogfighting World War II game, be out on Friday. Zombie Party is out on Friday. Kind of a cool looking, I don't know, kind of like a 2D action game, I guess. And then Xbox Game Pass has some new titles starting on October 1st. 7 new titles coming over to the platform, and they are as follows: Super Street Fighter 4, State of Decay, Saints Row Get Out of Hell, The Bug Butcher, Costume Quest 2, Maldita Castilla, EX, Cursed Castle, Tower of Guns, and that's your lineup there. So State of Decay's in there. So if you're interested in State of Decay 2, grab an Xbox Game Pass, get in there and test out State of Decay and see if that's something that you'd be interested in. Also, I didn't know this, Brent, but apparently they do this Game Pass goals every month in the Xbox Game Pass. So apparently they reward you for taking part in the Xbox Games Pass games. So each month a new goal is posted in the Xbox Game Pass Lounge, and everyone who completes their goal is guaranteed to win a prize. These prizes include Xbox Live Gold, Xbox gift cards, movies, DLC, and more. One lucky Xbox Game Pass member will also win a grand prize each month. such as a $500 gift card for the Microsoft Store. In honor of the Halloween theme throughout October, the Game Pass goal for this month will focus on unlocking achievements in their Frightfully Fun collection of titles. So getting an achievement in 2 different games from the collection will get you a reward, but you'll need to get an achievement in 6 different Frightfully Fun games if you want to be eligible for the grand prize. So that's cool. I didn't know that they did that or had this program. So
That's
kind of
really, really cool. That's some incentive, and
yeah,
it keeps you active in there, and that's a really, really cool idea.
yeah. So it gets people getting in there, testing out these Game Pass games, and maybe this leads to a full-on purchase in the future or some DLC in the future. But there's definitely some incentive for people to get involved in this program, to get their games in there when they're doing stuff like this. So kudos to Xbox for that. Let's jump into Nintendo now, Brent. So the Switch, what we missed last week was a whole hell of a lot. And this was a big story this past week, but on Thursday, Nintendo dropped their biggest release list they've ever dropped for the Switch. 18 titles for the Switch on Thursday. And we only had 6 of them last week because for some reason Nintendo refuses to advertise these games ahead of time or let people know what's coming to the platform so that people like us can tell other people about them. But so this is everything we missed last week. Tower of Babel. It's on the eShop now for $10. This is a endless runner kind of a game. Sparkle 2, the puzzle game that's been on a variety of platforms. That's on the eShop now for $8. Picross S is on there for $8. Physical Contact Picture Place. It's on the eShop now for $4.99. Pankapu, the really beautiful looking like platformer. It's on the eShop for $11.99. And Versus Deluxe is on there for $15. Golf Story game I'm really interested in. I've heard a lot of good things about so far. It's on the eShop now for $15.
Good game.
I'm hearing this compared to Earthbound with golf elements, which is high praise indeed. Demo is on there now for $30. This is that narrative-based rhythm game that I've heard some things about. Butcher, game we featured on the Indie Spotlight. Cool 2D Ode to Doom is on the eShop now for $10. Brave Dungeon plus Dark Witch Story: Combat. That's the name of this game. It's on the eShop now for $9. Binaries is on there for $12.99. And Arcade Archives Neo Geo Burning Fight is on there for $7.99. So lots of games coming to the Switch. Everybody trying to get on that Switch train, man. When you're hot, you're hot. Everybody's trying to get a piece of the action. So this week on the Switch, another jam-packed lineup. Lovers in a Dangerous Space-Time, an excellent game, will be on there on Tuesday for $15. Volgar the Viking, a game which looks awesome, which I've heard some good things about. That's available October 5th on Thursday for $10. Tumblestone, the pretty well-received puzzle game, will be on there on Thursday for $15 as well. Ninja Showdown, this is from the people who made 88 Heroes. It's available on Thursday for $15. Axiom Verge finally hits the Switch on Thursday for $20. And Oxenfree will be on the platform Friday for $20. So, a nice slate of games there that we've seen across other platforms over the months and years in the past. But that's a very solid lineup of games there that are coming over to the platform for people that maybe want to take some of that stuff on the go. On the Wii U, what we missed last week, Double Dungeons, a TurboGrafx 16 Virtual Console title, is on there for $6. Still no Virtual Console on the Switch. What's on the Wii U this week? We don't know. For the 3DS, what we missed last week, Monster Hunter Stories got some Legend of Zelda DLC. So if you're interested in that, I think you can ride Epona and wear Majora's Mask in that game, something along those lines. This week, 3DS jam-packed lineup. So Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions. That's a Friday release. A lot of people looking forward to that game. Frankie and Bender, 2 of the people amongst that crowd. Layton's Mystery Journey, Catriel and the Millionaire's Conspiracy. This is another Friday release. This is the latest in the Professor Layton series. Bender's spoken highly of this before. Many, many people love that series. So I know tons of people anticipating this one. Cold Scepter Revolt is a Tuesday release. This is a card-based RPG from what I can tell. Symphony of Eternity will be out on Thursday. This is an $8 Kemco JRPG game. And then that new 2D XL, the white and orange one, will be out Friday to go along with all these other games. So if you've been holding out for that one, your wish has been granted this Friday. I actually kind of like the way that one looks. I like the white and orange 2DS XL. It looks kind of rad. On the Amiibo front, Koopa Troopa and Goomba are coming over to Amiibo Land on Friday. So Brent, get your pre-order in and pick those up.
Thank you, Mr. Boyce. Much appreciated. For me, the only one I'm definitely going to buy for sure is Battle Chasers. There's a couple other games in there that look really good. I actually want to pick up Oxenfree for the Switch. I have it for PS4, but that's just a game I'm not going to be able to sit down and play at home. There's just too much to play here. I think something like Oxenfree, from based on what I've seen on the videos that we have on the site, that would be awesome on the Switch. So I'm actually kind of interested in Oxenfree right now.
Cool.
So, yeah, big lineup of games. Let's jump into the news. First up, the big news of the week: we got to see a trailer for Red Dead Redemption 2, which reaffirmed the 2018 spring launch window. What we learned from this trailer from Rockstar is that this is a prequel to Red Dead Redemption. Rockstar describes the game as the story of outlaw Arthur Morgan and the Vanderlyn gang as they rob, fight, and steal their way across the vast and rugged heart of America in order to survive. The Vanderlyn gang is also known as Dutch's gang, which the last game's protagonist, John Marston, would eventually join and leave. So we do have some kind of carryover with the first game. As we mentioned, we see Dutch here in the trailer. But, Boyce, initial impressions of what you saw in the trailer.
The first Red Dead Redemption, Brent, I've never actually played it, as sad as that is. Always heard some great things about that game. Obviously, you speak highly of it. It's a Rockstar game. People absolutely love Red Dead Redemption. I really like Westerns, too. Yeah, I really, really like the Western genre. So it's one of those games where, a lot of the games on the PlayStation 3, a lot of those, longer experiences, I just didn't have the time to play and just could never get to them. So Red Dead Redemption was unfortunately one of those games that kind of fell by the wayside for me. But it's always been one that I've really, really been interested in. This, from the trailer, I don't know if there's much we can glean from it. It's a minute and a half. It's just some story stuff. It's kind of what we expect from this franchise. If I had to guess from what I've seen of it in the past, we've got some outlaws, we got some guys getting chased, we got some horse riding, some train robbing, looks like some horse corralling, some just debauchery, just the kind of stuff that we expect to see from the Western genre. So I'm all on board though for one of these types of experiences. I hope I can find the time to play Red Dead when it comes out, depending on when it comes out in spring 2018. But definitely interested from what I've seen of the trailer, man. Seems like Rockstar could have something cool on their hands here, and of course, Red Dead Redemption will have an online mode, probably something similar to Grand Theft Auto Online after the success they've seen with that one. So there's going to be a really robust online component to this game as well, which in a game about a posse of people and getting together and going out and doing Western things could be a lot of fun, man.
Oh yeah. No, I thought the trailer looked cool. I mean, like you said, there's not a whole lot we can take from it, and what little we do know from Rockstar is that this is a prequel to the first game. But the reason I'm just excited for this is just because how well Rockstar writes these games. Their games are so well written. They have stories with heart. They have stories with meaning. There's good motivations from the protagonist. There's always good motivations from the antagonist. They're just so good. And Red Dead Redemption was no exception. It was an awesome game. I absolutely loved Red Dead Redemption, and I'm looking forward to jumping back into the Wild Wild West, dude. I mean, this. Like I said, there wasn't a lot to take from this trailer other than that the game looks beautiful. It was captured on a PlayStation 4, and I'm ready to hop into this, dude. I'm excited for Red Dead Redemption 2.
Let me ask you this, man. When do we get the concrete details on Red Dead Redemption 2? We know that they have a marketing deal with Sony on this one. The video they showed us, like you said, was captured on the PS4. Sony noted in their blog post that they will have exclusive content for Red Dead Redemption, probably more towards the online side of things, it sounds like.
It is the online portion. It is the online portion. Mm-hmm.
So is this a PSX reveal? Do we see some concrete details from Rockstar at that event prior to its spring launch? Or is Rockstar kind of I don't wanna say like a prima donna or anything like that, but are they kind of they have a stature that's above and beyond any other developer out there, really. Mm-hmm. So is this kind of something where when it's time for them to give us the details on Red Dead Redemption, they'll just do it themselves in either some type of an event or a press release or something like that? What do you think's the play for Red Dead Redemption here?
If it's not PSX, I gotta believe it's the Game Awards where we'll see something like a bigger trailer with a little bit more explanation to it. But on the flip side of that coin, yeah, I think Rockstar could do whatever the hell they want. I think
Yeah.
Rockstar. I mean, when you think Grand Theft Auto, that's a juggernaut. I mean, that's a game that's still charting in the top 10 some months.
Mhm.
And yeah, no, Rockstar is above. They can do whatever they want. I mean, it's plain and simple. I mean, they look at the schedule and be like, Sony or Microsoft call, hey, when do you guys want to reveal this? Oh, we'll do it when we're ready. So I mean, I don't think there's much conversation there. But what the marketing deal would grant Sony maybe some special access during PSX. I could totally see that. But I honestly, I just think Rockstar can do whatever they want.
Dude, just to digress for a minute, like this is a smart move. Is what Sony's been doing this generation and what they've done intelligently, in my opinion, is they've gone after these games which could be considered games as services.
Mm-hmm.
So like they really hitched their wagon to Destiny. That's been a huge boon for them. Destiny is considered like a for all intents and purposes like it's best experienced on PlayStation, right?
Mm-hmm.
With all the exclusive content that you get on there.
Mm-hmm.
So they've hitched their wagon to that with these games that are constantly in gamers' minds. And what they're doing with Red Dead Redemption now is hitching their wagon to the online portion of this game, which, if it's anything like the Grand Theft Auto one, is going to be ongoing for who knows how many years, and it's going to be a big draw for the game. So I think it's really smart that they're going after these. I mean, Battlefront, that's a game that, once again, an online experience, games as a service, constantly releasing new content for these things. They have Call of Duty in the house now. We know what they do on a yearly, monthly basis. So they're really hitching their wagon to these online games, man. And I think it's paid dividends for them this generation. But back to Red Dead Redemption here. Question for you. So is Rockstar foolish to maybe that's not the right way to phrase this question, but does Red Dead Redemption, like, can they do the things that they do with Red Dead that they do with Grand Theft Auto? So can Red Dead get by simply on the name of Rockstar, or does Red Dead's name itself, does it have enough clout in the industry to have this kind of we're going to do whatever we want kind of attitude? We're going to come out next to whatever game we want to, and it's not going to matter because we're Rockstar, we're going to sell our games. Like, can they do that with Red Dead Redemption? Does this game have that kind of clout? Or is this is this something that Grand Theft Auto kind of has a monopoly on, and it's kind of a unique case in that respect? Or is it simply just, look, the Rockstar name is that powerful, and whatever they attach their name to is going to draw that kind of attention, and they can, like you said, do whatever they want?
I really do think they have that kind of clout. I really do think Rockstar can do that. I think they can. I think Red Dead Redemption is going to be a massive game. I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to be a huge seller. And the online portion, they're going to take whatever worked in GTA Online and build on that. And next thing you know, dude, they're going to be like Red Dead Redemption 2 Online is bigger than GTA 5 Online ever was. It's just going to be. Rockstar could easily just rest on their laurels, just be like whatever. But I think Rockstar, not only do they enjoy the success, they try to be better the next time around. And I just think Red Dead Redemption 2 is going to be a massive title for them, and I really do think they can just do whatever they want.
Yeah, and they take their times with these games. Like, every time a Rockstar game releases, it's an event. So they don't have any annualized franchises. They don't have any edicts in their studio where, like, look, the next Grand Theft Auto has to be out in X amount of years, or it has to be out the prior year. They don't have studio after studio after studio working on this game month in and month out. It's like they make their games, and when they're ready to come out, they release their games. And every time that happens, it's an event. So the last Grand Theft Auto we got was 2013. Like you said, it's been in the top 10 ever since, and it's the highest selling game of all time. So you're damn for sure when Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out, that's gonna be an event, right? Like, that's gonna be a huge industry-wide, like, momentous occasion. And it's been a while for Red Dead now. What was it, 2010 when this game came out? Something like that. 2011, somewhere around there. But it's been quite a while since we've seen Red Dead Redemption. So now, 7-8 years later, we're going to see Red Dead Redemption 2, and it's going to be an event. And I think you're right, man. Just the Rockstar name, and with the amount of people that enjoyed and picked up Red Dead Redemption, the amount of people that have been waiting a long time for this one, and after the success of Grand Theft Auto Online and Grand Theft Auto 5, the people are going to be chomping at the bit for this game, and it's not going to matter who comes out when Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out. When this thing comes out, it's a momentous occasion. Everybody's going to go out and buy it whether you want the game or not. Hell, even if you don't want this game, like, you're going to get swept up in the hype.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be like, hell, I might as well get it. Everybody else is.
Right.
So
yeah, and I'd like to, like, the only other company that's like this, there's so many similarities between Rockstar and Bethesda. I mean, Bethesda has Elder Scrolls, which is another massive name in the gaming industry. And here we go, the years before we even knew Red Dead Redemption 2 was coming out, people were constantly asking, when's Red Dead 2 coming out? When is Red Dead 2 coming out? And Bethesda gets the same question. When's Elder Scrolls 6 coming out? When's Elder Scrolls 6 coming out? And that's just that the similarities there are just stand out. I mean, that's how it is with these developers like Bethesda and Rockstar. Their tentpole titles are massive sellers. They're critically acclaimed titles. They make a ton of money. They win a bunch of awards. And when you have those types of titles in your stable, dude, people are just going to buy your games, man. And that allows you the ability to just do whatever the hell you want. Announce it how you want to announce it. Release it how you want to release it. The people are going to be out in droves to pick it up.
I think the one thing that I guess differentiates Bethesda from Rockstar, I think, is just the name itself. Like, I think Rockstar's name carries a certain gravitas that Bethesda doesn't. Like, Bethesda, they hit the big time off the strength of the names of their IPs, like you said, like the Elder Scrolls, like the Fallouts, like those IPs like drive that brand. But I don't know that simply Bethesda putting their name on something carries the same type of clout that Rockstar does. So like when Rockstar puts their name on something, whatever it is, whether it's a new franchise like Bully or Manhunt or something like that, like, people are gonna flock to that just based on the Rockstar name. Now, will people do that for the Bethesda name? Sure, but not to the same degree I think that Rockstar carries. And it's just it's really just a unique position that they're in as a studio based on what they've done ever since the PlayStation 2.
Right. So basically, like, when it comes to Rockstar games, whether it's Grand Theft Auto or Red Dead, it's still Rockstar that's going to sell that game. Whereas with Bethesda games, it's Elder Scrolls that's going to sell the Bethesda game. It's Fallout that's going to sell that game as opposed to Bethesda.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. Yeah, really excited for this. Check out the trailer. It's on Rockstar's page. It looks beautiful. Can't wait to learn more about this game. Whenever Rockstar wants to tell us, they can do whatever they want. All right, moving from Rockstar to Rocksteady. Boys, marketing manager Gaz Deves
Talk to me.
He gave nothing away on Twitter, but he did have this to say, quote, "Be patient, fans. I know we're not talking right now, but when we do, people are going to lose their minds. Can't wait." Now, obviously, we haven't, other than the Batman VR, we haven't heard anything from Rocksteady since Batman Arkham Knight. Okay,
it's been a while now, man.
It's been a while since we've seen a big time proper release from Rocksteady, and my man goes on Twitter and says, "Be patient, but people are going to lose their minds about this." Boys, now I know when you saw us, you probably lost your shit, which is understandable because I know you love Rocksteady. Any idea, any guess what they could be referring to here, or even hinting at teasing?
So I know I've talked about this before, but I'm gonna go over it again here. So, in my ideal world, like, Rocksteady would be working on a Superman game. Okay, that's why I'm wearing the shirt today. So I'm here pleading my case for Rocksteady to make a Superman. Obviously, they're well into development on this. I mean, they've probably been working on this game for what, 3 years at this point.
Yeah.
The Arkham Knight come out in 2014, 15?
I think it was 2 years ago. Yeah, 2015.
So maybe 2015. Okay. So they've probably been toiling away on this game for a couple of years. I'm sure it's been in pre-production for longer than that. So somewhere 2-3 years, they've been developing their next product. And man, I know a lot of people want to see them like work on a new IP or do something like that. But I just want to see them make superhero games. That's really, I just want to see them make DC Comics games. I love those properties. I love those heroes. I just want to see what they can do with those guys. They clearly have an intimate knowledge and a love for Batman, but I just, yeah, I just feel like for us to lose our minds, like this has to be something we're familiar with, right? He's not going to tell us we're going to lose our mind. I mean, they might over this incredible new IP they're creating. It could be something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just feel like when they say we're going to lose our minds over their
It's
next game,
something that you've
yeah,
wanted.
yeah, it's gotta be something. It's gotta be something big. I'm just they just gotta be in the DC universe still, and I'm thinking maybe even bigger at this point. Like they might be going like full on Justice League at this point. Like we could see the entire Justice League in their next game possibly. But I'm gonna plead my case for the Superman game because I do want to see a proper Superman game at some point in my life. And Brent, this is how you do it, man. So if you take the Superman game, all right, we're gonna get the voice actors from Superman the animated series. All right, we're gonna get Tim Daly as Superman. We're gonna get Dana Delaney as Lois. We're gonna get Clancy Brown as Lex. We're gonna bring in the whole cast. We're gonna get him in here just like we did with Arkham, where we brought in the Batman the animated series voice actors. Like these Superman the animated series is one of my favorite interpretations of Superman.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to see them draw a little bit from that when they make their Superman game. Now, this Superman game is not going to be a Batman game. This is not going to be some overly dark affair. Like, this is going to be a Superman game, and that's one of the great things they did with Superman the animated series is they took the framework of Batman the animated series. They took all of the things they did great with that, and they brought it over to Superman and didn't drown it in darkness like they're doing in the movies right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're trying to inject Batman into every single DC Comics character that they do a movie of.
Mm-hmm.
That's why some of these movies are suffering. But what they did really well with Superman the animated series is they made a Superman product, but they took what was great about Batman the animated series, about the way they handled the villains and progression and the storylines and then the voice actors and the dialogue and all and just the way they structured the series. You know, they brought it over to Superman and they just did it so damn well.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna take the voice actors from Superman. We're gonna bring them into this game. And how we start this game, so we start off like Superman, ultra powerful. He's got all his powers, and we're in some type of climactic situation, maybe in a battle with Lex Luthor. So I'm imagining some extended prologue sequence, maybe 30 to 60 minutes, where you get in there. It's this big, like, epic opening to the game, and at the end of this sequence, through some kind of means, Lex Luthor stabs Superman with like a kryptonite sword or a kryptonite knife, or maybe even injects him with like a kryptonite syringe,
Mm-hmm.
and Superman gets poisoned. He gets kryptonite poisoning, and this kind of destroys his powers at the beginning of the game. So going into the game, you know, one of the things that people worry about with Superman is he's so powerful. Like, how do you make villains that can compete with him? How do you make him where he's vulnerable or there's any type of stakes on the line? That's always been the problem with Superman. So we go in at the beginning of this game, we get the kryptonite poisoning, which is his only weakness, and now the stakes are raised. Like, Superman's poisoned, he's losing his powers, he doesn't have everything that he can do. So now we have the whole setup for a game, and the whole beginning part of the game is going to be you trying to figure out how to deal with the kryptonite poisoning. You're going to slowly regain your powers as you go through the game, as the poison works its way through, and you figure out how to. I haven't figured out exactly how they'll fix it, but you know they'll come up with some type of a solution, and then eventually, at some point in the game, you'll be back to full power once you get towards the end of the game. But as you go through, say the poison is, you know, you get the antidote, and then slowly but surely your powers are coming back. Your X-ray vision comes back, your heat vision, your flight, that kind of stuff. Your super strength rebuilds over time due to the poisoning. So then you're building up your character. You bring in this kind of like RPG element to it.
Mm-hmm.
Then the storyline, don't quite know what it'll be just yet. Well, let's bring in a lot of Superman's enemies. And one of the things we really loved about the Arkham game, about Arkham Asylum in particular, was the Scarecrow missions.
Mm-hmm.
So what we can do in Superman is we can bring in Mr. Mixer Spitzlick, who's the imp from the fifth dimension, who does all these weird things with Superman. He's always messing with him, and the only way to get him to go back to his dimension is to get him to say his name backwards. So he comes into the game and he messes with Superman on these like side missions these kind of scarecrow kind of missions where you have to figure out, it's like a puzzle based thing where you have to figure out how to get him to say his name backwards so that he can get sent back to his dimension and you can go on with the rest of the game. So periodically throughout the game, maybe 3 or 4 times, you get these mix your Spixlick missions where he comes in and you got to deal with him. And these could be like these kind of one-off, like really interesting, like scarecrow kind of portions of the game. Then from there, I think we build to maybe halfway through the game, Calabac comes on the scene, who's Darkseid's, like, he's like Darkseid's enforcer. So he comes onto the planet and he starts causing trouble throughout Metropolis or wherever because he's trying to get Superman's attention. So when Calabac's on the scene, Darkseid's not far behind. So you see Calabac and you're like, oh man, is Darkseid about to get involved? Like, is this like stuff's about to hit the fan here? So you go in and eventually Darkseid gets involved, but you find out Darkseid's not involved because he wants to fight Superman. He wants to, take him over, yada yada yada. He needs Superman's help because he's got wind of the fact that an army of Doomsdays are descending onto the into the solar system, and they're kind of wreaking havoc, going from planet to planet. And they're on their way to Earth now. So the climactic battle in this game is an army of Doomsdays, like raining down on Metropolis. And you as Superman, you have to kind of save the city. So I'm picturing you in Metropolis, and there's like these sensors, these indicators all over the screen. So maybe there's like a building falling over here, and you have to zoom over there, save the lady that the building is about to fall on, get her out of harm's way. There's a doomsday attacking somebody over on this side of the city. You fly over there, you have to try to take him out. But there's all these different things going on. You kind of juggle everything that's going on. So ultimately, Darkseid wants your help to eliminate the Doomsdays because he wants them kind of out of the picture so that he can go forward with his ultimate master plan, whatever that may be. So I think if we do some of this stuff, and obviously we'll have to fill in all the story details, but let's get Bruce Timm in here, let's get Paul Dini, let's get these guys in here to work on a story for the game, and let's do this, Rocksteady. Like, let's make the Superman game that we all deserve. All right, let's do this.
Man, and here I was just thinking they're going to make like a Gremlins game.
Some gizmo action?
In the mode of Lemmings. You just walk a bunch of gremlins around the water, and that's all you do.
I think we should have Clark Kent missions in there, too. Maybe some like Daily Planet missions, maybe some reporter missions. I think that would be fun
just
as well.
Bumbling around like an idiot. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yep. Wow. Well, hopefully Rocksteady is watching this. They aren't. To maybe get some ideas from you. But that's deep, man. You put a lot of thought into that one.
We need to make this happen, Rocksteady. Obviously, yeah, there's a lot of blanks we got to fill in, but this could be good, man. This could be really good.
I'm gonna say this is a strong contender for a games award reveal. I think this is a strong contender.
You think?
Oh yeah.
I don't think we see this until E3 at the earliest next year.
Really?
Yeah.
It just seemed like, I know we're not talking about it now, but when we do, people are going to lose their minds. Be patient, fans.
It is interesting that he came out and said something, that he mentioned something like right now. So I don't.
That's why I was like, if he's mentioning this now, if this was an E3 thing, I think they would wait until like next year to kind of talk about. I mean, this just seemed kind of random. And it just seems like, I don't know if he's trying to build up the hype for this upcoming reveal. That's why I was just like, man, the Game Awards makes perfect sense for this type of reveal. Probably won't give us a lot of information, but just explain the premise of the game, who the characters are, who the players are in the game, and that's it.
Yeah, man. This would Rocksteady's next game is a very eagerly anticipated thing, and it's a huge reveal. We haven't seen this kind of a reveal at the Game Awards up to this point. So if they pulled something like this seriously raises the stakes for that show. It puts it on a whole other stratosphere in terms of what they're going to put out to people.
I mean, he's sitting there saying people are going to lose their minds. That would be an ideal stage to really set people off. I mean, especially if they're announcing it now. If he's teasing it now, that would really build up the hype, and that would be a hell of a stage to make that reveal.
Yeah, man, I can't wait to see what it is, dude. I don't care when they do it, if it's at Game Awards, PSX, E3. I don't care. Just whenever you do it, just I hope it's a DC game. I hope Superman's involved, or any of the DC characters I'll take, but really, really hoping for Superman. We'll see though.
Well, for your sake, I hope you're right. But but I know your pants are getting tight, so let's talk about something a little bit kind of a downer topic before we head into our break. Volition has reportedly been hit by layoffs. This is the developer behind Saints Row and the recently released Agents of Mayhem. According to Kotaku, more than 30 people have been let go from the Saints Row studio that's located in Illinois. That apparently includes the layoff of Volition general manager Dan Cermak. Deep Silver is reportedly dissatisfied with the sales of Agents of Mayhem, which released last month. Obviously, Volition was acquired by Deep Silver back in 2013 after THQ was dissolved. The developer is also known for the Red Faction franchise. So, man, not even a month after the release of Agents of Mayhem, which I don't know if that was an ideal spot for that game to release. Deep Silver is obviously not happy with the sales of it, and more than 30 people, have been let go from that studio. So quite unfortunate. Even the general manager. So I mean, it's bad when the GM's getting boosted.
Yeah.
But I mean, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, like I said, like I just mentioned a second ago, I don't think the release date for Agents of Mayhem was ideal. I think that should have been a little bit earlier in the summer. I think that would have been a good May title. But putting it out a couple weeks before the fall rush, before Destiny 2 and everything, was just kind of a bad spot for that game.
Yeah, the marketing was lacking with that game. A lot of people didn't even know what it was or that it was coming out. And I think at the time when they chose that date, they probably thought it was good. Like, yeah, man, we're in August. We're kind of in the middle of the doldrums of summer, and this should be a solid date for us. But August turned out to be an incredibly jam-packed month for game releases, and Agents of Mayhem was just kind of in the mix with everything else. And there were so many good titles that came out in August that it kind of got lost in the shuffle. So that whether or not that was their thinking, that backfired on them. And it's crazy that not even basically just a month after the game release, it's already kind of it's that dire of a situation for the game. So I think we kind of all expected this to be the case with this game. Like, this is a game that was not going to hit with a bang, but with a quiet thud. And unfortunately, it's kind of came to be. And like you said, just from all perspectives, from whatever Deep Silver was doing from a marketing perspective, just was not working. Like, people didn't understand this game. This was a game you looked at and you were like, okay, this is like a co-op, like open world experience, but it's a single player game. And I don't think a lot of people understood that or understood the character switching mechanics, or I don't know that they played up the G.I. Joe aspects of it enough. The fact that this was like an adult version of G.I. Joe. No, it's kind of loosely tied into Saints Row, so I'm not sure if that was the best thing to do as well. So people were like, is this a Saints Row game? Is it not? So I think there's a lot of confusion about the messaging and about the marketing for this game. And there just wasn't a lot of buzz, wasn't a lot of hype for it. So, whether that's Deep Silver's fault or whoever's fault it was, just didn't pan out. And unfortunately for the Volition, it's resulted in some layoffs from their studio. So obviously our thoughts go out to those guys, and we hope all those people land on their feet. I know a lot of people were out there on Twitter reaching out to the Volition guys and be like, hey, we've got spots over here. We're looking for developers, and I'm sure those very talented people will find a spot elsewhere. But still sucks that they had to lose their job to begin with. And I feel bad for Volition and Agents of Mayhem. It's a game that has a lot of potential, I think, from when you sit down and read about the concept of it. And I don't know if the game's any good or not. I haven't played it. I'm part of the problem, I guess, with this. But it's just no time to play this game in August with all the other stuff that was coming out. So yeah, it sucks, man. It's a sucky situation.
Yeah, they didn't do a very good job marketing it, that's for sure. But I'll be honest. When I was watching this trailer, the first time I saw this game in action, I was like, oh, this looks like this could be a pretty cool co-op game. And I was like, that's the only reason I would get into it that close to Destiny is, hey, look, a bunch of us pick it up. Let's do it cooperatively. And then closer to launch, I realized this isn't a co-op game. And it's just a single player where you kind of switch between these characters with all these different abilities. And I'm just like, that just doesn't do anything for me. If it didn't look like it had like a very involving story, it didn't look like it was something that I was going to really like be sucked into. And once I seen the co-op portion of it was off the board, it wasn't even included. I was like, oh, well, that's not really something I'm going to jump into. So bad timing, bad marketing. Deep Silver can report, can be dissatisfied all they'd like. They didn't do a very good job of promoting the game themselves. So, it's a two-way street on that one.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, outside of people that are like intimately involved in the industry and follow it very closely, I don't know that anybody had any clue what this game was or what it is. So,
Mhm. So, like you said, hopefully all those everyone affected will land on their feet. I'm sure they'll find someplace to go. There's so many developers that as games get bigger, so do studios. So there's always going to be a need for developers. So again, our thoughts are out to all of you affected. Hopefully things work out for you. But we're going to take a quick break. We've got some music here from Ruel Ethan, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. Thanks again to Ruel Ethan for producing the music for this podcast. He does the opening, the closing, the music you heard right there. Follow him on Twitter at Ruel Ethan. Check him out on SoundCloud and iTunes. All right, Mr. Boyce, let's jump into some Nintendo news. First up, Nintendo made some waves this week, shockingly, and for all the wrong reasons.
Nintendo
not
doesn't
shockingly.
do that.
Yeah, not shockingly. The Nintendo Creators Program will no longer let users live stream on YouTube. Now, the Nintendo Creators Program was created a couple years back, and basically what it does is it allows channels, if they want to stream Nintendo's stuff, they have to sign up for this program. Or not even stream, but obviously not stream anymore, but have content of Nintendo's on their site. And what it does is you can monetize your videos, the ad revenue goes to Nintendo, and then you get a share back from them to your PayPal account or whatever. And so it was Nintendo's way of like saying, okay, look, you can stream our stuff and you can make money, but it's only going to be a fraction of it. We're going to get most of it. Everyone was like, well, that sucks, but it's whatever. At least now we can stream your stuff. Now you can't stream their stuff. Not streaming it anyways. Here is what Nintendo had to say in an email they sent out to everybody just the other night. We have updated the Nintendo Creators Program user guide with information on how revenue generated during live stream broadcasts on YouTube will be handled in the Nintendo Creators Program. Live streaming on YouTube falls outside the scope of the Nintendo Creators Program. This means you cannot broadcast content on YouTube Live from the account you have registered to the Nintendo Creators Program. Please check user guide for details. Thank you for your ongoing support of the Nintendo Creators Program. I don't think you're going to have too much more support. As YouTube continues to evolve, we will work to provide you timely information to help manage your account with the Nintendo Creators Program. And communique. This is just Nintendo being stupid. I mean, it really is. There's really no other way to say it. This is baffling. I don't understand why they would do this. I mean, I understand this is the stuff they normally do, but it makes really no sense. Now you're telling people they can't, if you want to be a part of this program, you can't live stream on YouTube. Which means going forward, all the short pause Nintendo live streams of Nintendo games will be on Twitch. Because Twitch is not mentioned anywhere in this Nintendo program. It's just strictly with YouTube right now.
That's one of the things that's unclear too is what other services this extends to, because
Hmm.
people have reached out to get comment from them on whether or not like this is going to be across all of the streaming services like Twitch and other things, or if it's just going to be strictly YouTube. And from what I've seen, Nintendo hasn't answered that yet. So I guess for now we just assume that Twitch is still a go.
Hmm. It sounds like right now, I mean, again, everything that's mentioned in this communique that was sent out and on their website right now is directly related to YouTube. Here's what I want somebody to do. Seriously, the next time somebody sits down with Reggie, and instead of talking about Mario, I want one person to ask Reggie, on a side note, what the hell is wrong with you guys in YouTube, man? Like, seriously, what is with this? Just make things more difficult. I mean, people are trying to stream your games, show off your games. You're taking
Mhm,
a good majority of that money. You're giving a little bit back to them. What? Now you can't live stream it?
mhm.
I don't understand that. That's just ridiculous. But I mean, again, it's Nintendo doing Nintendo, but do they not like the ad revenues, Ben? I mean, do they not like that money coming in? Or do you think they don't like the money going out, even though it's just a fraction?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know a whole lot about this, and this doesn't really affect us. We don't really have any monetized Nintendo videos that are making us any money.
Right.
But I know from the community at large, like there are very few people that are happy about this. That
By
that
few, you
stream.
mean none.
Yeah, and I don't know if this is just something I'd have to assume here the majority of people that make like big time money from like videos and streaming, I would guess that comes from YouTube as opposed to like Twitch. I know
Hmm.
there's people that have big followings on Twitch, but I don't know that the Twitch crowd brings in the same money that the YouTube crowd does, whether not necessarily just from live streaming, but just from videos in general.
Hmm.
Not I don't know if that's an accurate statement or not. Like I said, I don't know a lot about this kind of stuff. So like you said, maybe it's just simply a money thing. There's just so much money funneling into YouTube that they just feel the need to really like authoritatively clamp down on this and really control how this works. They've always been controlling with their IP. This is just kind of how they work. So this is maybe just an extension of that in when it comes to the big time money that's in YouTube. I don't really know, but that's I guess that's what we can guess or glean from this.
Hmm.
Also, I don't really understand the other two options they give you if you can't live stream on YouTube. So they tell you you can do one of two things. You can broadcast content on YouTube live from a channel that isn't registered to the program, so you won't make any money on that.
Hmm.
Because you can only get money from those videos if you're a part of the Nintendo Creators Program. And let me ask you this: if you're broadcasting from a channel that isn't registered to the program, doesn't Nintendo just take those videos down?
Yes.
So, so they're basically telling you to live stream a video, and then they'll just take it down anyways. Or they can cancel their channel's registration to the program and instead register their videos to the program separately. So you'd have to individually register each and every video. That just sounds like a pain in the ass. Just me
Hmm.
reading that sentence. Once again, I don't really know how that works or what goes into that. But that doesn't sound very very user friendly.
Hmm.
And I don't know, man. It's just part of this antagonistic relationship that Nintendo has with its fans and with its content creators, which I don't really have any answers for it because I'm not in this community enough
Hmm.
to or in this streaming community or know how all this stuff works intimately enough to be able to accurately glean a good response. But they've been like this, like you said, for a while
Hmm.
with YouTube, all the way back to 2015 and prior to that, before they started the Nintendo Creators Program. So it's always been something with them, and I don't know, man. I don't really don't have the answers.
Now, I have a quick question for you, and this is just something that I was reading about. I read a couple articles about this and people's
Hmm.
comments. People were speculating why this happened, and I want
Hmm.
to get your thoughts on one that kind of started. You just mentioned that Nintendo is very protective of their IPs,
Hmm.
very protective of it. And then if you look at what just happened recently with PewDiePie,
Yep.
he dropped that racial slur on a
Hmm.
live stream, which pissed off a lot of people, and he was playing PUBG. Do you think
Hmm.
this is somewhat of a move on Nintendo's part to protect their IPs? No, because anything can happen in a live stream. Obviously, if you
Yeah.
record a gameplay video, you can edit out any mistakes, or in
Hmm.
PewDiePie's case, edit out any kind of like a racial slur that you feel like dropping live on TV.
Yeah.
What I'm asking though is like, do you think that has anything to do with it? I mean, you mentioned they are very protective of their IP.
Hmm.
Anything can happen on live TV, live streams. Do you think that might come into play here?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a part of it, and this could be a response to some of that kind of stuff. Um, but but like we were just talking about, like going back some years, it's always been if it's not this, it's always something with Nintendo and
Mm-hmm.
YouTube. So I think this particular situation, that is probably a part of this, a part of what went into this decision.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as their antagonistic relationship with YouTube and streamers on that platform as a whole, I don't really know
Mm-hmm.
what the only thing, like I said, that I can think of is just there's just so much money in this platform,
Mm-hmm.
and they're just doing their best to try and control their IP and control how all that's funneling through here.
Right. Yeah, it's really, really strange. So as I mentioned, going forward, any Nintendo streams can be found on the Short Pause Gaming Twitch channel. And then once they send the email out canceling that, we'll be moving over to Mixer. And once that email comes out, we'll go over at Ustream. So we've got all sorts of options.
We'll just stream live from our cell phone. We'll just hold it up to the TV. Yeah.
Off camera type of like
off
the
cam.
Nintendo way. That's the Nintendo way. Remember, it had the TV up,
A 3/4,
there you go.
3/4 angle isometric view. Yeah, we
I
got this.
see what you're doing, Nintendo. I see I see your master plan. You want us to all stream off camera. That's perfect.
There's also some talk, Brent, that maybe Nintendo could be creating their own streaming platform.
Whoa.
Now, I don't know. Based on what we've seen from them from an online perspective up to this point, I'm not very confident in that platform. Do you think that that's at all a possibility based on their history? I'm not sure I see that.
Like, are you referring to as like streaming from the Switch itself, or have like their own like YouTube type of thing for Nintendo?
I don't really know, because I don't know how that works from a firmware perspective. If this is just something they can add to the system for the future.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's something they can do through firmware, if this has to be a hardware level thing. I don't really know. I assume they can do it through firmware. They can just add something that streams in there. But like I said, that's way above my pay grade. I have no idea on that.
Because I keep thinking about all the things that come into play when you're streaming. I mean, okay, let's take the Nintendo Switch. Streaming something from a system takes up some CPU usage. It's not like just some little bit of CPU and that's it. There's a good fair amount of CPU usage required to stream. So you've got that. The Switch is built as a Wi-Fi system, but you can buy an adapter for Ethernet. Streaming from Wi-Fi is not ideal. There's too many variables that can screw up the stream. So I gotta believe I can't see them putting in the ability to stream from the Switch itself. I can't see it. There's just way too many variables that come into play there. However, I think that if they were to make some kind of system of streaming service, I gotta believe it's something like a YouTube channel itself, or a YouTube platform, but they'll call it like WeTube or whatever. I don't know.
WeTube.
WeTube 2 or something like that. I don't know.
Oh man. Yeah. I don't know. I just, like I said, with the way they've been from an online perspective recently, it'd be very hard for me to see them rolling out a streaming platform that was anywhere near what anybody would want out of this type of service. I'm not sure I see that happening.
Yeah. So, but that's Nintendo being Nintendo, and I don't really know what to say about it. It's just silly. But because that email mentions YouTube only, we'll still be on Twitch with our stuff. So don't worry. We'll be streaming Nintendo stuff for the foreseeable future.
Now, quick question about this. Does this apply to third parties? Is this everything that's on their platform?
That I don't know, because currently our SteamWorld Dig 2 video is still up, and I didn't monetize that. So
okay.
I don't see how there's any issues with it. I think it is just first-party stuff, because SteamWorld Dig 2 is on PS4, it's on PS Vita. Mm-hmm. So I gotta believe this is first-party stuff they're referring to.
I have to assume too, because I know some of the stipulations with like the creators program are like they don't want profanity and that there's different things like that. But like we just talked about, like Butcher is on the Switch now. That's an incredibly violent game with all kinds of gore. Don't know if there's any language in there. I don't remember. But they have games on their platform that don't necessarily adhere to what I assume are in their creator program guidelines.
Hmm.
So you'd have to assume from that maybe this is just a first party thing.
Hmm. Yeah. Don't know. Hopefully, we'll get a response from Nintendo like, "Oops, we messed up. We were just kidding. Go ahead and stream away."
It's always one step forward, one step back with Nintendo, man. It's
Always. It's never simple.
always not. It's they start doing this thing good, and then something weird over here happens, or they do this good and that good, and then all this stuff's weird over here. It's just it's always a give and take with those guys.
Seriously, the next time somebody's doing an interview with Reggie, seriously, pull him aside and be like, "Okay, look, we talked enough about Mario Odyssey. What the hell is wrong with your YouTube stuff, man? What is your deal with YouTube? Why can't people just stream your YouTube games or stream your games on YouTube?"
Dude, Reggie is the master at like going around in circles and not
Oh
telling
yeah,
you anything about.
deflecting and
Yeah.
oh yeah,
Like he'll give you a 2-3 paragraph answer and not answer anything about your question.
hmm
He'll go in this giant circle and you'll nod your head and think that it sounds great, and then you'll go back and read it and be like, wait a minute, he didn't actually say anything.
right. Yeah, he didn't say anything at all. Yeah,
So Reggie is a master of his job, that's for sure.
he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Moving on, Nintendo is shutting down the Wii Shop completely. Nintendo will shut down the Wii Shop channel on January 30th, 2019, marking the end of an era for the service that first came online for Wii consoles in December 2006. The shutdown will happen gradually. Users will still be able to add Wii points until March 26, 2018, and still be able to use those points to purchase content until the shop fully goes offline in January 2019. Is that foreshadowing? Is that when the virtual console's coming out, Ben? January 2019?
I hope not, man.
Possibly. But here's the real bummer. Re-downloads will also be disabled. At some point, Nintendo hasn't put an exact date on it yet. You also won't be able to re-download previously purchased Wii and Virtual Console games on the Wii System Transfer tool to move files to the Wii U. Nintendo recommends that if you have games that you want to download or content you want to move to a Wii U, do it while you still can. Ish. Well, there's one perk of owning retail, owning hard copies of games, man.
Yeah. I put this story in the outline because I actually saw this tweeted out by Limited Run Games, who obviously
that was an awesome tweet, by the way.
Yeah, who obviously their whole thing is like, hey, we want things on physical media because things like this can happen in the future. And I've just been kind of going along here, and I don't know that this is going to be an issue with Sony or Microsoft. At least I hope it won't be. But to see a story like this, man, it's kind of jarring to say like, hey, in 2019, we're completely shutting down the Wii Shop, and you won't be able to re-download any of the content you've purchased, effectively annulling anything that you bought on that system. And all of those legacy games are just going to kind of be lost in the ether unless you download them and move them to the Wii U, another system that is about to be on the trash heap with as it fades out into the sunset here. So I don't know that that's the best solution, to move your Wii stuff over to the Wii U. How long before the Wii U shop gets shut down? I guess they keep cranking out these virtual console games on there every single week. But this is this is kind of shocking, Brent. I hope this isn't a preview of what's to come from the digital age. I just, possibly in my naivety, but I just figured that like these guys would have thought about this stuff, like Sony, Microsoft, like as we move into this like heavy digital future, like these guys would have thought about, hey, what happens to your games when this system gets this old and these servers aren't doing this, or yada yada yada. And to me, this just shows me that maybe these guys haven't figured this out. Like maybe the message that Limited Run has been preaching to us for the last year and however many and all these other people that support and evangelize physical media, like maybe they were onto something here. Maybe they were onto the fact that these guys don't have this all figured out, and it could just be as simple as this. In January of 2019, they're going to flick that switch, then all of your games are gone on the Wii. That's it. They're not there anymore. You can't go back to that system and play any of those games. It's a problem that's not wholly unique to video games, but almost unique to video games. With movies and media, there's many different ways to get movies and get older films and that kind of stuff. But it's very difficult in games to kind of keep up with legacy content and get this out there. That's why the virtual console is so important, and getting those games into people's hands and giving them a viable option. And hopefully when they come out with the virtual console on the Switch, I mean, that's got to be something that happens at some point in the future. Hopefully, maybe they can figure out a way to get people's Wii content over to the Switch, and we can unify the accounts. And once again, this is kind of stuff that we figured out over the last 10 years that Nintendo necessarily hasn't. So hopefully they can figure out a way to do that for some of these owners. But this sucks, man. That stuff like this is happening. That stuff like this can happen. And I just hope that that this is an isolated incident, but I don't really know, man. It's kind of a cautionary tale for the future now.
So are Wii U's out of production, right? Those are out of production, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody has a Wii and they're like, man, I want to keep these games, but I need a Wii U to do it, and they can't find a Wii U, man.
Yeah, I mean,
so well.
Yeah, I mean, they're still floating around on eBay, and a lot of people still have them available secondhand or whatnot. So you can find a Wii U right now, but as we move along here, and the people that have a Wii U are like the hardcore fans that want one for their collection, and they've got it stored away and they're not selling it. Like, these things are going to become more and more rare. So yeah, the Wii U, not the best option at this point, especially because who knows what's going to happen with that system down the line. This could very well happen to that too.
So very strange decision, but that seems to be the theme for Nintendo this week. Moving along, Fire Emblem Warriors. The DLC plans have been revealed for this game. Fire Emblem Warriors will get 3 add-on packs by spring 2018, beginning with Fire Emblem Fates, which will be released by the end of this year. It'll be followed by Fire Emblem Shadow Dragon at the start of 2018, and then finish off with the Fire Emblem Awakening pack, which will arrive sometime in the spring. So 3 DLC packs coming up between the end of this year and spring 2018. There'll be plenty to do in that game, I'm sure.
If I'm not mistaken, all of these DLC packs are named after previous Fire Emblem games.
They are, yep.
So Fates, Shadow Dragon, Awakening. So I'd assume that these packs are going to feature characters from those games, would be my guess. Not 100% sure on that. But actually, there was some type of a collector's edition for this game. I went ahead and pre-ordered it, so what the hell. So it was only a few bucks more, and so it comes out on October 20th. So I guess I'll have this game, and maybe I'll play it, maybe I won't. I don't know.
I can tell you which one it'll be. It won't be
based on prior history.
Yeah, and I know where that's headed. Right next to Final Fantasy 15. All right, we've got a couple of stories regarding some Switch versions of games. A couple of them kind of in trouble. First up, Battle Chasers has been delayed indefinitely on the Nintendo Switch. Airship Syndicate provided an update on the situation as part of a Kickstarter post. Currently, the holdup amounts to some updates from Unity, the engine that Battle Chasers was built with. Here is their post. As of now, the Switch version is delayed, and we're not quite sure till when. We're waiting on some updates to Unity that we'll need before we can comfortably promise a release date for the game. We know this is a hotly anticipated version of Night War. It was. That's the one I wanted to pick up. So we don't take such delays lightly, but our number one priority is making sure the version we release performs up to expected standards. Once we have a reliable date we can promise, you'll be the first to know. We don't expect this delay to be significant, but it's a bit of an unknown. It's still possible to change your selected platform on battlechasers.com if you prefer not to wait. We appreciate everyone's patience. We're excited for it too. So, something with the Unity engine, it needs a new update, and they're waiting on that in order to finish up the development on the Switch version. Which, again, I mentioned, is disappointing because that was the version I was planning on buying. Because, like I said, for a game like that makes perfect sense for me on the Switch. I can play it when I'm at work, on my break, and my lunch, when I'm upstairs, with the kids. That's an ideal game for that. every other time I sit down in front of my TV, I want to play either Destiny 2 or Cuphead or something along those lines, some bigger titles. So it is disappointing to hear that this is going to be delayed indefinitely. Hopefully, it's not too long of a delay, though.
Yeah, I mean, sounds like this Unity thing is going to be a recurring theme for a few of these titles. I don't know. Once again, this is outside of my jurisdiction, but something happened with this latest update that's causing some issues on Switch games for developers. So, the few games we're going to talk about here may not be the end of this. I don't know.
No, it is not the end of it. Actually, Ukulele Switch has been held up on engine problems as well. This is per developer Platonic. We've encountered some final technical hurdles and had been waiting for the arrival of Unity 5.6 in order to fix them. Although this has now been released, it has unfortunately introduced other issues which we were working with Unity to resolve before we can submit to Nintendo and lock in our release time. We understand the frustration that it's taken so long to get the game in your hands, but we hope that you understand that we're working as fast as we can and want the game to perform as well as it possibly can on the Switch. Once these remaining issues are resolved, we hope to finally be able to commit to and share a launch date. So again, another game using Unity, problems kind of like, affecting it. And as they released the update, it caused some more issues. So obviously Unity is not transitioned over to Switch as smoothly as I'm sure they'd like, but I wouldn't say these games are like in jeopardy, but these delays, the delays are definitely, or Unity is definitely the problem here with some of these games.
Yeah, and to the point that they just don't know when this could be ready because they don't have any type of realistic time frame because they don't know when these fixes are going to be in. They don't know if this fix is going to actually fix the issue. So there's kind of a lot of questions that are up in the air right now. It sounds like both of those games, though, are very close to being completed. It's just a matter of getting the proper updates up and running, and then, they can submit them to Nintendo for publishing.
Now, a couple other games that aren't having any issues. Stardew Valley. Chucklefish CEO Finn Bryce confirmed the Switch version has been approved and said they are currently, quote, working on finalizing a release date with all parties involved. So Stardew Valley its release is imminent, and we'll have a release date at some point from the developer, which is another game that I think would do very, very well on the Switch. When I was playing Golf Story, it reminded me quite a bit of Stardew Valley. There's definitely some similarities there in terms of like how you go around the world exploring stuff. But I think Stardew Valley will do very well on the Switch. And then the surprise announcement this week that I wasn't expecting, and it's pretty sweet because this game is awesome. But Darkest Dungeon is coming to the Nintendo Switch, and this announcement was pretty cool. It was on Twitter, and they posted. It just appeared to be a video of some off-screen gameplay. However, once the camera kind of zoomed out, it reveals the game is clearly running on the Switch. So Switch owners, be prepared for a very difficult dungeon RPG crawler. It's an awesome game. Darkest Dungeon, another game that will do very, very well on the Switch. I love it on the Vita. It's a great game to play on the go. Darkest Dungeon coming to Switch at some point. We don't have a release date yet.
And this is one of those things, Brent, where we talk about Nintendo taking one step forward, one step back, but their indie implementation and their independent push for the Switch, that's been an area where they've made a big step forward. So we talked about this with the Wii U and some of the things that they did with that console, but we saw a lot of the shovelware coming out each and every week, but the Switch, they've gone out and they've brought in like the best of the best. Like they're bringing in top-notch independent titles onto this platform here, and they've really changed the face of independent development on their machine. And it's now an area where every independent developer wants to be on the Switch right now. Like their games are selling well on there. It's a very, very popular machine. People like taking these games on the go. In many cases, these games lend themselves well to like these smaller bite-sized experiences that you can do here and there and come back to it at later dates, and that kind of stuff. So this is like I said, this is one area where Nintendo deserves props for the way that they've handled independent titles on this machine, and hopefully we continue to see that. It was one of the things I talked about before the system even launched. I was like, hey, I wanna see Nintendo really like step their independent game up and switch kind of the way they do things, no pun intended. And they went ahead and did that. So good to see.
So up next, Koei Tecmo's Attack Attack on Titan 2 is coming west to the Switch, as well as PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Attack on Titan 2 will have a Western release on all those platforms. The title serves as a sequel to 2016's Attack on Titan, known as Attacks on Titan Wings of Freedom in Europe, and is not to be confused with Spike Chunsoft's 3DS game, Attack on Titan Future Coordinates. Attack on Titan 2 is set during the show's second season and is a hack-and-slash affair allowing players to control various different Titans from the series. The game will also offer new challengers for players to take on, newly improved omnidirectional mobility gear to try on, and more advanced RPG elements. Koei Tecmo will announce the game's release date at a later time, as it is currently only has a release window of early 2018. Now, is Attack on Titan, this is one based on the anime, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
On a huge anime, one of the biggest anime out there. The first Attack on Titan was actually pretty well received, and that's a game I want to get at some point. It looks awesome. Like when you watch videos on it, you watch them fighting the Titans and the mobility and the way you kind of fly around and fight. Like, the game looks sweet. I know, like I said, it's been pretty well received from what I've read about it. So seems like they're gonna step it up even a little bit more with Attack on Titan 2. This is probably gonna end up being a solid title, man.
I've actually been very curious in the first one as well. Like, after watching the trailer, I was like, man, this game looks bizarre, but the combat looks really, really good.
I see it on sale every now and then, and I'm close to pulling the trigger, but I haven't quite pulled it yet. One of these sales that it ends up in, one of these flash sales that they do for anime or something, I'm gonna end up pulling the trigger on that game. So we'll see.
Yeah, during the fall season, the flash sales is the only time I'm like, okay, I'll buy an extra game. So none of the other sales, I need flash sales through the fall because all my money is elsewhere in the bigger titles that come out. But no, this game looks pretty sweet.
I mean, hell, man, the way the way Sony's been doing things and Xbox for that matter with their weekly sales, it's like it's hard for me to even buy something when it comes out anymore. It's like if you just wait long enough. Most of these games I'm not even able to play when they first come out. If you just wait long enough, you wait a few weeks, like this thing's going to be in a flash sale or it's going to be on sale somewhere else. And in most cases now, it doesn't even make a whole lot of sense to buy these games right when they first come out.
If we weren't running a website where we have to inform our listeners of certain of games when they come out, there's a good chance that I would do that. But don't really have that luxury at this time. Now, one of the developers out there that I've always thought, man, why aren't they on Switch yet? Because they're on PS4, they're on Xbox One, they're on iOS devices, they're on Vita, they're on everything. And that's Telltale Games. Well, Telltale Games thinks the Switch is a perfect match for the studio. You think? Creative Communications head Job Stauffer told MCV at Gamescom the following: the Nintendo Switch is perfect match for Telltale. No series is out of the question for a Switch port, and the studio is looking backwards and forwards in their portfolio when considering what to bring to the platform. We wanted to say this: to say we're steering away from other content because the audience isn't there isn't true. Stauffer said the studio isn't in a hurry to release The Walking Dead for Switch just yet because looking into earlier seasons might require some additional effort to bring our content up to speed and up to Nintendo's standards. So, yes, just bring all your games over to the Switch because that's a perfect spot for them. Now, whether or not they'll run well on the Switch is, I'm sure, the one thing we're waiting to see because Telltale Games are renowned for having various bugs throughout.
Yeah, that's the rub with them. So I don't know that their games have run well on any platform that they've been on. I mean, well is all subjective, I think for the most part nowadays, their games, you play them and they get by. You just kind of accept the fact that one of your episodes is going to crash or there's going to be a weird thing here or there. But for the most part, people seem to be able to get through the games, just with a few weird glitches here and there. So, I don't know what the situation is going to be with the Switch on that architecture, but like you said, man, Telltale on the Switch just makes sense for these kind of games.
Oh, yeah.
So,
dude, if I can play it on my iPhone, I should be able to play it on the Switch.
I agree.
It's really that simple. And lastly from Nintendo, boys, Bethesda made a mock retro Skyrim box. Was it a Super Nintendo box?
Yep.
of Skyrim to celebrate the NES Classic launch title or launch. What do you think of this box, dude?
Box is sweet, man. I want it.
Yeah, that thing looks rad as hell. I really
Yeah.
dig that, man. That's cool that Bethesda mocked that up, but that looks really, really good. I would definitely buy that game back in the day if it were to show up when I was a kid. I would have bought that
Yeah.
for sure.
Bethesda, very buddy with Nintendo
Very,
nowadays.
very. Now that we've got Doom coming, we've got Wolfenstein 2. It appears Bethesda is all in with Nintendo, and I mean I think that's the one deal that's going to make third parties think twice about not jumping into the Switch in some form or trying to get their game. Dude, if Bethesda can get Doom and Wolfenstein 2 running on the Switch, there's very few games I can't believe wouldn't be able to get on there. You know, it just seems like that's the future. I think this is the move that Nintendo needed to make with the Switch in order to get those third parties in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think their relationship with Bethesda has been a very, very smart strategic move on their part to kind of partner up with one of the biggest third parties out there, and to show what's possible on their system and to get other third parties excited through their relationship with them. I think it's really a solid move.
And you've got, they're going to look at the sales real hard. And I think, again, another smart move, make Skyrim the first third-party game from Bethesda on the Switch, because that thing is going to sell. I mean, it's going to sell a ton simply because it's Skyrim on the go. And people love Skyrim. That's a game that you can play over 100 hours. And that's not even including the DLC. I spent over 100 hours in that game without the DLC. And to have something like that on the Nintendo Switch is going to be very, very, very appealing to Nintendo Switch owners. And when this thing charts on the MPD that month, that's going to open up the floodgates for other third parties. They're simply not going to be able to just turn a blind eye to the Switch anymore. They're going to have to make a move.
So you think even with the November release date that this game's going to be pretty big? For
Switch owners, yes.
Go.
Yep. I think it's gonna do very, very well on the Switch. It's just that type of game. There's a reason Bethesda continues to release this game over and over and over again. There's a reason for it. It sells.
Yeah, I'm gonna be really, really interested to see how Skyrim does, man. Because I feel like it could go either way.
Oh, absolutely.
It could be a situation where we're in November, we're in the heart of the holiday season. Like the people that are asking for Switches for Christmas, like they want Zelda, they want Mario. Like those are the games that are gonna be on their list. I doubt very few people are gonna be asking for Skyrim. Skyrim is gonna be a game that the hardcore crowd, that have Switches, like that they go out and pick up, but that crowd they've probably already bought Skyrim 2 or 3 times on a variety of platforms, and are they going to want to buy it again to take it on the go? That remains to be seen. So I think it's going to be a very interesting case study when Skyrim does come out, because either it's going to be a huge title that everybody's going to pick up because they want Skyrim on the go, or it's going to come out with and could be a dud because everybody's played it many times over the last 7 years. And the crowd that wants that experience on the go, like I said, those people they've just bought that game so many times. So I don't know if it's going to be a compelling enough reason for them to get into it again. So I'm gonna be really interested to see how it does.
When is Doom slated to come out?
Did they put a date on it?
I don't know if they did or not. I can't remember. But here's my question: what game do you think will sell better, Doom or Skyrim on the Switch?
Yeah. I think it really all depends on how Doom performs, I just think, I guess in general, Skyrim's a bigger franchise, and I don't know that Doom lit up the sales charts for Bethesda when it came out in 2016. So yeah, I'd probably go with Skyrim.
I would say Doom, simply because Skyrim is on there. Yeah, that's awesome, but so is Zelda. There is no real true first person shooter on the Nintendo Switch, and that's why I think Doom will have the advantage there. I mean, obviously Splatoon's a cool game, but that's not like the type of shooter that Doom is. And I think Doom will actually, I think it'll outdo Skyrim, simply because Skyrim has competition with Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, in terms of an open world fantasy adventure game, where Doom will have the Switch market to itself.
I mean, yeah, Doom is really the first AAA Switch title. Did they say it was coming out this year? Right? Didn't they say that?
I want to say it was this year.
Yeah, in the direct presentation, it said this holiday.
Wow.
For Doom. So, yeah, so that means basically Skyrim and Doom are going to be out around the same time because Skyrim is November 17th, right? Isn't that the date on it?
Yeah.
So Doom has a very small window of a couple weeks after that when it could realistically come out. That December 13th date could be right. You know, that could be in that wheelhouse. But I think we've got a span of a month there that Doom could come out after Skyrim. Before it's just not, before there's just no other games that come out. You know, after December 13th, there's not too many releases that are going to be in the wild. So I doubt Doom would come out that late. That seems very, very late for a game of that stature to come out. So I don't know, man. It might actually be sooner than that. It might be sooner, like really close to Skyrim.
Right.
When it does eventually come out.
Boy, we'll be watching those MPD charts that month to see how these games do, because I think this is going to be a make or break in terms of like third-party involvement with the Switch. How these games do, how they perform in a crowded holiday season. I can tell you what, man, these things chart really high in a crowded holiday season. It's all over. Third parties will jump at the Switch.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's interesting, man, because the one thing we always hear about the Switch too is that the Switch is like a second console for most people, right? So these people have an Xbox or they have a PS4 and they're adding Switch to their repertoire. Like sure, there's some people that just have a Switch, but from what we've heard, a lot of these people that are buying this thing, they're buying it as an additional system to one that they already have. So these people are going to have played Skyrim probably multiple times. They're going to have played Doom. And is the fact that they'll be able to carry this around with them portably, is that enough of a hook for people to buy these big AAA games? It's one thing to get one of these independent titles, these kind of quick bite-sized games that you can jump in and out of, and everything, and you know everything plays well and it suits itself to bite-sized experiences. But Skyrim's not really a bite-sized game. I mean,
No.
you can go on quests and that kind of stuff, but really Skyrim is about getting lost in that world and spending hours and hours like searching through that landscape and going through there and discovering things. So, you know, could you jump in there and do a side quest here or there? Yeah, but it would take you 5 years to play the game. Like you'd never be finished with it.
Right.
So Doom, Doom, you could go in there and just blow some people away, I guess, and that could lend itself. But yeah, those Doom stages are pretty long, though, aren't they? They're pretty in depth.
Yeah, from what I remember, they're not short.
So yeah, it'd be interesting, man. That's it's just it really could go either way, man.
Boy, can't wait for those numbers. That'll be interesting. But that's it for the Nintendo news, Mr. Boys. How about we jump into the world of PlayStation?
All right, so first thing we're going to talk about, Brent. Sony does not plan to make a new Vita or a new handheld system anytime soon. It's too bad. But Andrew House, he sees the handheld market as limited in the age of the smartphone and has all but dismissed a successor to the PlayStation Vita, possibly to compete with the Switch. So, speaking of Bloomberg, this is via IGN. House explained that we have not seen handheld gaming outside of Asia as being a huge market opportunity. The Vita experience was that outside of Japan and Asia, there was not a huge demand. The lifestyle shift toward the dominance of smartphones as the single key device that is always with you was the determining factor. So, the IGN goes on to say the upshot is that House says that there are no plans to take on Nintendo Switch, which has boomed in its first year by combining handheld and home console play. And what he says here, I think he's correct in this. House didn't see Nintendo Switch as a handheld in the sense that Vita was, or as direct competition with Sony. The Nintendo device is a hybrid device, and that's a different approach and strategy. The folks at Nintendo have their strategy, and that's great. In fact, House believes that Nintendo may be helping out the industry as a whole. Bloomberg reports that House hasn't yet seen signs of Switch hurting PlayStation sales, and that its release may actually have done the opposite. That draws me to the conclusion that they've been really additive to the business in the last year or so. So, he further went on to say, we remain focused around a highly connected gaming experience and also coupled with having a great range of other entertainment experiences so you can reach multiple people on the big screen in the household. So, what do you think about all this, Brent? I mean, I think in a lot of ways, Andrew's right. You know, the smartphone market has just become dominant, and there's not as much of a place for the for handheld gaming as there may have been in the past, especially for Sony. This just seems like something that Nintendo's just they've just kind of cornered the market on from day one.
Mhm.
With ever since the Game Boy, they've kind of been associated with portable gaming, and it's been a difficult space for anybody else to kind of dip their toe into. The PSP was actually very successful.
Mhm.
I think sold 74, 75 million units when all was said and done. That's a very successful handheld gaming device across the world.
Mhm.
And if they did some things differently with the Vita, I think the Vita could have been a very successful device as well. So, on the one hand, I understand what Andrew's saying about the smartphone market and whatnot, but Sony made a lot of mistakes with the Vita that if they would have tackled it differently, if they wouldn't have had those proprietary memory cards,
Oh.
if they really would have delivered on the message of the PS4 experience on the Vita or the PS3 experience on the Vita, or they wouldn't have muddled that message as much, it became confusing, what exactly the Vita was at one point. Like, is this a machine for smaller independent titles, or is this a machine that we're trying to get these robust, like, first party AAA experiences on the go? Like, what is this machine? So
Mhm.
the message became muddled. The proprietary memory cards, I mean, expensive ass memory cards,
Mhm.
really put a halt on the future of the Vita. So I do think that if Sony took another stab at this and they did things differently and they learned from their mistakes, I think they could potentially have a successful handheld once again in the market.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, I just that doesn't sound like that's ever going to happen at this point.
Mhm.
What do you think, man?
Yeah, it's a bummer. I mean, like you mentioned with the Vita, dude, it's such a great system, but they botched that launch with the memory
Hmm.
cards and like you said, the muddled message, especially with the PS3, and
Yeah.
because of that, the Vita didn't fly off the shelves like they had hoped, and games like Unit 13 and Uncharted Golden Abyss and even Killzone Mercenary didn't have the audience it should have had. It didn't have the
Hmm.
install base that it should have had in order to keep first party games coming out. So, I mean, that's the bummer about the PS Vita. But
Yeah.
now that we've got the Switch out, I'm not a mobile. I don't play games on my phone. I mean, I play a little bit of that Elder Scrolls Legends, but I don't even play that much anymore, at
Hmm.
all actually. And I don't even know if I'd want to have another Vita in my bag. I've got the Switch, and like you mentioned, Nintendo has just kind of cornered that market. They kind of just when you think Nintendo, you do think mobile gaming, you do think being able to play on the go. And even though the Nintendo Switch is a hybrid console, I play that thing 80% in mobile. And I like having that. And that's a nice system to have in my bag. And I can break it out and play what I want to play. I don't want to have to carry around my Vita along with the Switch or a 3DS. I want to have one thing to play on the go. And I just don't. And I think what Andrews is saying is right. I mean, with the mobile market in terms of like mobile phones, and then the Nintendo Switch, even if they did release a PlayStation Vita 2, I just don't think there's any room for it, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of it, and the thing that makes the Switch successful is like Andrew was alluding to. Like, this is a hybrid device. It's the
Mhm.
same device at home that it is that you take on the go with you.
Mhm.
So you don't have to buy two separate devices. It's all ingrained in the same system. And I do think there could be a place for a Vita that's fully integrated with the
Mhm.
with the PlayStation, because
Mhm.
that's the promise of the Vita and of the PSP and of the Sony handheld, like, vision. Like, that's the promise that I fell in love with, was
Mhm.
the fact that I'm connected to PlayStation wherever I go with this device.
Mhm.
So I'm connected to the PlayStation Network. I'm connected to the games. I'm connected to my Madden seasons. I can take them with me wherever I go. Like that's the kind of stuff that's exciting. And
Mhm.
for me personally, I don't get a chance to play handheld stuff very often, which is why I rarely ever play the Switch right now. I
Mhm.
never have time for handheld gaming. I don't get to play stuff at work. I don't have the kind of job where I have an opportunity to do that,
Mhm.
unfortunately. So I don't really do any handheld gaming outside of the occasional business trip I take, or if I have to go out of town for vacation, I'll take something with me. And even at that point, I don't even get a chance to play a
Right.
lot of handheld stuff in general. So handheld gaming for me is not something that I get a chance to do, which is why I haven't put a lot of time into the Switch. But the idea of a fully integrated Sony handheld where I can take my PlayStation with me wherever I go, Like that's a promise I think that you could sell to people if you do it right at some point in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But
And the thing is, like, I think in order to do that, especially with like next gen consoles, PS5 and the Xbox Two or whatever you want to call it, these things are going to be expensive.
yeah.
And I don't think that you can do a PS Vita and a PS5 and have them being two separate products. This has to be
Mhm.
a bundle of sorts. It
Yeah.
has to be something where it's one unit and you've got the PS5 and then you have your PS Vita or whatever you want to call it, the smaller mobile version of it that'll
Mhm.
transfer the game over, and obviously it'll be, knocked down in terms of quality so it scales to fit on that so you can play it on the go. But I think that's where the Vita got hurt too, is that you had to buy it separately. So you had to buy a PS3 at the time and a Vita, or
Mhm.
you had to buy a PS4 and a Vita. Where the Switch is, like you said, that's where its advantage is. It's all in one.
Mhm.
So if they do want to do this down the road, I don't. If they want to be successful, I don't think they can sell these things separately. It has to be a package deal, because if you're spending $400-$500 on a console at launch and you're buying games, who's really going to have enough money on their hands, on their $250, $200 to buy the add-on to it? It's got to
Yeah.
be a package deal.
Yeah, and I don't see that happening.
There's
I
no
mean,
way, especially with the price of PS5,
yeah.
what I'm sure everything that's going to be inside of it,
Mhm.
in order to get that game running at a satisfactory level in handheld mode, that
Mhm.
system's going to cost a lot of money, and at that point, you're just jacking the whole total package up.
Yeah. And yeah, like you said, man, I mean, Sony, they're clearly if you want to call it, in the arms race with Microsoft. Like they're about pushing the envelope in terms of technology with their devices.
Mm-hmm.
That's the path that they're on. That's what they're going to continue to do moving forward. So if they were to ever do another handheld, they would need a device that pushes the envelope, that
Mm-hmm.
that is really powerful technologically, and that kind of stuff is gonna cost an inordinate amount of money
Yep.
if it was packaged together all in one unit.
Mm-hmm.
And the Switch is popular right now, man, but I don't know that this idea is sustainable for the long haul. Like the Switch is going to be a popular system, and I don't think it'll have any problem being popular for the next however many years the Switch is out. But when it comes time for Nintendo to do their next system, like I don't know that the portable devices, if that's going to be as appealing to people as these phones get more and more prevalent, as they get more and more powerful,
Mm-hmm.
as people move more and more away from carrying around these extra devices.
Mm-hmm.
Like we don't know if this is a viable strategy for the future. Like
Right.
Nintendo's been able to kind of fight off the smartphone in their market, in what they do with the 3DS and with the Switch now for as long as they have, and that's been great. But how long is that viable, man? Like, can
Mm-hmm.
they do that for, like, is this indefinite for them, or does this have a shelf life? You know?
All right. No, I think with the Switch, I think it's going to be a winner. I think it'll be awesome. I think by the time like you said, by the time Nintendo has to go to its next gen system, I don't know if they're going to be able to go with the Switch like property again.
Hmm.
I think they'll go back to console, but that remains to be seen. I don't want to speak for Nintendo.
Yeah.
The Switch is a pretty impressive piece of kit, and I would like to see what they can do with the next one.
Yeah. We'll see. So no Vita 2, at least anytime in the near future, and I would guess ever. I think that ship has sailed, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move on to some positive news, Brent. So Rockstar, those guys we were talking about earlier, they have a plethora of games scheduled for the PlayStation 4, probably in the form of PS2 classics, if we had to guess.
Mm-hmm.
But Grand Theft Auto Liberty City Stories, Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories, Max Payne 2, The Fall of Max Payne, and Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition, which, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't that on the PS3? Wasn't that a PS3 game?
I think it was.
I don't think that was a PS2 game. So the first three games in this, actually, I'm sorry, the first two games were PS2 games, but Max Payne 2 wasn't a PS2 game either, was it? Wasn't that a PS3 game? Maybe not.
I don't
Max
know
Payne
about that
3 was on the PS3.
Max Payne 3 was on PS3.
So maybe Max Payne 2 was a PS2 game. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So Liberty City Stories, Vice City Stories, Max Payne 2, all PS2 games. Midnight Club 3, pretty sure that was a PS3 game. Could be mistaken on that one as well. But these should be incoming as PS2 on PS4 classics at some point in the near future. Maybe Midnight Club 3 is a full-on remaster. Don't know.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to see. But they showed up on the ESRB. Of course, that's the American version of the ratings board. This stuff's like like rock solid, man. If
Oh,
this
yeah.
stuff shows up on there, it shows up on the Taiwan ratings board, shows up on the Brazilian ratings board. Like, lock this stuff in stone. These things are happening. So no
And there's a good
surprise.
chance this thing will be up there next week.
Yeah,
There's
there's a
really
very
a
good
good
chance.
chance they'll be on there next week.
Yeah, there's a very good chance. So these PS2 on PS4 classics have been very, very lucrative for Rockstar. We know that. Once again, the Rockstar name just pushing these things through the system here.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so these will probably fall right in line, and at this point, man, you're gonna have basically the entire Grand Theft Auto saga available on the PS4. That's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you'll be able to play any of the PS2 ones, any of the PSP ones. It's all gonna be on there. So that's pretty wicked. Moving on from there. So this story made some waves this week.
Mm-hmm.
So Bluehole of PUBG fame, they apparently are in discussions with Sony about bringing PUBG over to the PlayStation 4. So, they are quote unquote in active discussions. Microsoft recently announced it would be publishing the Xbox One edition of this title later this year, but it was always expected that a PS4 version would follow. So I'm reading from a Push Square article here. This is via an interview with Bloomberg, but founder Chang Byung-gyu, not sure if I said that right, apologize if I didn't, has revealed that his firm is currently engaged in conversations with the Japanese giant to bring the Battle Royale-inspired experience to PlayStation. Quote, Bluehole is in talks with Sony about doing a version for the PlayStation after Xbox. The article explains.
Oh.
End quote. So that's pretty blunt and straight to the point. So what do you think about this, Brent? So we're in another situation here where Microsoft's got a deal, some type of a deal with Battlegrounds. They are publishing this game on their platform. We know it's all but been confirmed that Battlegrounds is going to come to PlayStation 4 at some point. If I had to guess, it would be a very similar situation to what we're seeing with We Happy Few.
It's extremely similar. I mean, that's what I was going to say. This is 1-to-1 with We Happy Few.
Yeah.
Even though We Happy Few, the developer at the time never mentioned that. Yeah, we're in development for PlayStation 4. This is a little bit earlier.
Yeah. So if I had to guess, like you said, like PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds will hit Xbox One. It will be in early access. And whenever the official 1.0 release of Battlegrounds comes, I think that's when we see the game transition over to PlayStation, just like we're seeing with We Happy Few.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, game preview is something that only exists on Xbox. This is not a program that Sony has on their console. So for these games to be in that kind of program, they have to be on Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because the fact that Microsoft was publishing this on Xbox threw a little bit of a wrinkle into this situation, and it seemed like, maybe this might be different. Maybe this would be a full-on exclusive if Microsoft was publishing it.
Mm-hmm.
But it sounds like that's not the case, and whoever ends up publishing it on Sony's platform, I don't think there's any question that it's going to be on there eventually.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you. I mean, we even knew this a while back when they wouldn't just flat out say this is an exclusive. I mean, they were dancing around that question, and it's pretty obvious that this thing is going to come to PlayStation 4.
Yeah, I mean, we've basically known, they've all but said this up to this point, that this game's coming to PlayStation 4 eventually. So it's only a matter of time. And how about this, man? Over 13 million units sold now for PUBG.
Man.
Game's been an incredible success story. It's broken the concurrent player record on Steam now.
1.5 million, I think it was.
Yep, 1.5 million, which is amazing.
I actually just hopped back onto it the other night just to take a look at it and see what's up. And there have been some very good improvements, visually speaking, performance speaking. There's been a lot of stuff done. I haven't touched it in over a month, and there's been some good progress made with it. It's definitely in a much better state than it was a month and a half ago.
Yeah, I mean they're constantly updating that game. So
every time I go into Steam, there's a new PUBG 400 megabytes or more update waiting to go.
Yeah, they have said that they're gonna scale that back a little bit, though. It sounds like they may be focusing on more substantial updates moving forward. So maybe you'll see less of them, but when they do come out, they might be more substantial. That's the kind of vibe I got. We'll see what the plan is going forward, but I would anticipate that's gonna die down a little bit as we move towards the Xbox release here. Couple quick hits now from Sony here. So we got to see a couple screens from Square Enix's Left Alive. So this was the game that was announced at Tokyo Game Show last week. The game's set between Front Mission 5 and Front Mission Evolved. So in that universe, it's definitely in the Front Mission universe. And the couple screens we saw look cool, man. They look like something out of Metal Gear, you know, for all intents and purposes. They're third person action, definitely over the shoulder camera. So this is definitely some type of a third person action game. Really, really curious to see more about this one, man. Sounds like this could be really good, especially with the talent that's involved. Neo, to the surprise of no one, getting a complete edition. So this will house, now that the last piece of DLC arrived with Bloodshed's End, the entire package will be released in the near future here for that game. So if you've been holding off, wait on the complete edition. It should be out soon. Bungie still working on this Destiny 2 crash issue, so they're continuing to isolate what's causing it, and they're getting closer to a solution. But if you still are experiencing Destiny 2 crashes on the PS4, know that Bungie is working towards a solution there with Sony, and hopefully sooner rather than later they'll have that knocked out. Have you been having any crashes at all?
I have not had a crash. I have not. I remember when somebody, I don't know if it was Destiny 2. I think it was Destiny 2. Somebody mentioned there was crashes, and they suggested to turn off boost mode and the HDCP. They recommend turning those off, and I turned them off, and I didn't have any issues. I didn't have a crash before it either. So
yeah, I only had one crash at when we first started playing Destiny. It was one of the first couple days, and I haven't had anything since then. And I didn't turn off anything. I just kind of left it as is. So yeah, so I haven't had any issues, but I know there still are some people experiencing it. A lot of people think it's something to do with something on the Pro, but it's something to do with getting into the tower or whatnot. But it's being worked on, and hopefully that'll be a thing of the past sometime soon here. Slay Away Camp Butcher's Cut is coming later this month to the PlayStation 4, or later in October to the PlayStation 4. So be on the lookout for that. Very kind of interesting take on the puzzle genre that takes slasher films and kind of mixes it with this kind of tile moving puzzle. It's a very interesting looking game. Check that one out. Gravity Rush 2, its online service is actually closing early next year, so just about a year after its release. The online portion of Gravity Rush, not a huge part of this game. I don't think there's any competitive or anything like that. It's just simply one of the mechanics for like gaining new costumes or something like that is going to be closing down. So strange that it would be closing after only a year. This is another trend that I'd like to see go away, much like we talked about with the Wii shop earlier. But seeing these games like having their online portions closed so quickly like sucks. I mean, what was that game, Dead Star? I mean, that game didn't even last 6 months or whatever before the online services were shut off. So yeah, just be on the lookout for that if you use any of the online component of Gravity Rush to like knock out everything you need to do prior to the beginning of next year. And then how about this, Brent? Australia giving away real life platinum trophies. I would like to get my hands on one of those. Don't know the quality of it, but I don't care. Just give me one. I want an IRL platinum trophy.
Yeah, I should get one. I beat Resistance Burning Skies, so
well, you deserve it more than anybody else.
Obviously, so. Well, that's pretty sweet. I'm kind of curious about the quality of it.
Yeah.
Two other things we want to talk about here before we wrap up the show. First off, Just Cause developers, are hiring for a project on, quote, next-gen platforms.
Wow.
Yep. Avalanche Studios has begun hiring for a project being developed for both current and next-gen platforms. Noted by NeoGAF user Neuralac, listings for a technical director and senior multiplayer programmer at the developer's Stockholm studio, both referencing working on the studio's next open world and sandbox multiplayer engine. Now, given that the next gen is only mentioned with regard to the company's engine, not a specific game, it may well be that this is a matter of future proofing, although other listings in Stockholm do mention an unannounced AAA title. But it's very strange that they wouldn't mention that. I mean, in terms of the engine, I mean, if somebody tells me Avalanche has begun hiring for a project being developed for both current and next-gen platforms, that says platforms, not engines.
It does. Yeah, this is an interesting story, man. So I love the internet sleuthing that these people do as well. So they bring in the other job listings as well, and they put two and two together about this unannounced AAA title that the studio's working on or that they're hiring for. So when
Mhm.
you put two and two together, it seems like they're working on a game that's going to be for both the PS4 and the PS5, or for both the Xbox One and the Xbox Two,
Mhm.
whatever that numbering or whatever they end up going with in terms of the nomenclature for that. So, are we closer to the next generation than we think, Brent?
Yeah, I hope not.
I don't know what you think, and um, I've I've been thinking that the next gen would be maybe 6 years into this life cycle. That's kind of what I was thinking. Like 2019
Mhm.
is when we would start to hear about this, or maybe even see a release on this. And as early as next year, like we possibly see people talking about their next machine? I mean, this fall, man, we're 4 years into the life of the PS4 and the Xbox One already. It seems crazy that we're 4 years into the life of these systems already. It just seems like time has just flown by.
And that's
And
how much last gen really messed us up because last gen went so long, but now here we are. I mean, you're starting to hear the rumors, like this article here. I mean, is this a rumor? Or is this just a mistype? Did somebody? I mean, hell, earlier this month, Final Fantasy 15 director Hajime Tabata, he began discussing what will come next from his team and told Dual Shockers that it's aiming for a release on next gen consoles.
wow.
So I mean,
So Final Fantasy 16 is going to be for the PS5 then. Is basically what he's saying.
that's there. He said it, not me. But gosh, I mean, are we to the point where we're going to start hearing these little nuggets? I mean, I can't believe these developers already have the specs or even know what kind of system they're going to be getting. But the fact that they're
Yeah.
kind of like they mentioned here, future proofing their product by saying, "Hey, we're developing for current and next gen consoles." Even though we're not even sure when they're going to come up. But I mean, do you think maybe they do maybe have an idea? Maybe I mean, they would know better than we would. They'd know better than even the media. I mean, they work directly with these publishers, with these hardware manufacturers. That
Hmm.
they got to know something, right?
That's what I'm interested in, man, because we know that basically as soon as they finish one machine, like they're working on the next one.
Yeah.
So so once they finish up the PS4, and they maybe they take a vacation, they celebrate the release of the system. When the R&D team comes back
Boom.
the following whenever, it's like, all right, what's next?
Mm-hmm.
So you start getting into researching what your next machine is going to be, and the fact that we have these mid-generation consoles puts a little bit of an interesting wrinkle into this. So
Mm-hmm.
do we now see a longer life cycle because of this, or is this simply just a machine in the middle of a life cycle? So we saw the PS4 Pro come out 3 years after the PlayStation 4, which led me to believe at 6 years we would see the next console, and then we'll be in this kind of 3 year cycle. To me, I think that's something gamers can wrap their head around. I think 3 years, like to have a cycle that's technically 6 years, but on the third year in that cycle, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
get some type of a mid generation upgrade if you so choose to upgrade. You're
Mm-hmm.
not forced to. There's a lot of people that still have a regular PS4 that don't have a Pro. There's a lot of people that have an Xbox One that aren't going to upgrade to an Xbox One X.
Mm-hmm.
So there's people that are going to have that option. So I think that's a model that people could wrap their head around. Like, hey, there's going to be 6 years of this console. At 3 years, if you purchase the console right when it came out and you get 3 years out of it, like you'll be able to purchase a new machine in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're the person that wants to wait for that new machine, maybe you wait until the third year and that's when you hop in. But I think that's something, like I said, people can kind of understand that concept.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Dude, if
so
people can understand if people can understand the concept of, hey, I just bought an iPhone 6 last year, I'm buying the
yeah,
iPhone 6S this year, and I'm going to buy the iPhone 7 when that comes out next year. I mean, these phones are twice the amount as consoles. I
yeah,
think if you buy a console 1 year and then 3 years later, if you so choose to upgrade to the mid-generation iterative version of it, you have that option. 3 years sounds a lot better than every year for me, and I did
yeah.
that every year thing for a long time with phones. And 6 years with the 3 year upgrade with consoles doesn't sound nearly as bad.
Yeah, I think that's something people can get behind. And if you're a if you're a hardcore gamer, which is what that mid generation refresh is that's basically going to be geared for. If you're a hardcore gamer, you've probably bought the system close to or around launch. You probably play the thing every single day. You probably get hours and hours and hours out of it every single week.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's a stretch where you could be like, yeah, at 3 years, I've really put this first console through its paces. I definitely want to upgrade and get to the get to the next step in the generation and go from there. I think that's why we were all okay with buying a Pro or buying an Xbox One X. It's because it's something that we use all the time, and it's something that we can get into and we're anxious to see what the next step is going to be as we move towards the next generation. But yeah, but seeing this listing, man, I really wonder if we're closer than some of us may think. 4 years into the life cycle at this point. Think about this. So if people said that the 360 PS3 generation went on too long, and that one went on for 7 years, for 8 years, whatever it was, like, so what's that leave us at 6 years? Is that the proper? I mean, these cycles used to be 5 years. That used to be a video game console cycle. It used to be 5 years. It was always 5 years up until the PS2. Then the concept of the 10-year life cycle kind of came in after that. But it was always 5 years later we would see the next console. And if the PS3 went on for too long and that one went on for 7 years, like, we might be closer to the PS5 than we think, man.
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
And it's one more wrinkle on this too, but the fact that Microsoft and Sony have now staggered their mid-generation console. It's now the fact that the Xbox One X is coming out 4 years after the Xbox One, after the PS4 Pro came out after 3 years. You would reason to believe that the PS5 would come out before whatever the next Xbox is going to be now. So now we're going to be in this situation where somebody's always going to be playing catch up. So.
Oh yeah, it's going to be a back and forth thing.
Yeah,
the PS5 is going to come out. It'll be more powerful than the X. Then the next Xbox is going to come out, be more powerful than the 5. Then the PS5 halfway mark upgrade is going to be more powerful than the Xbox 2, whatever the hell it is.
What do you think, man? Do we hear anything about the next generation in 2018, or is that a 2019 thing, or later?
I think it's going to be like, I think it's 2019, and I think it's going to be very similar to what we saw with the PS4 and the Xbox One. February, announcement, and then November launch.
Dude, that's the way to do it, man. If you, the way the PS4 was set up was perfect. You had that February announcement, which was a great conference. People are excited about it. In E3, in the middle of the year, you hammer us with all the launch stuff and all the exciting stuff and that's going on with the system, and then you come out in the fall and you sell millions of units. That just seems like the perfect way to go.
Though you'll get rumors like around October, November next year, some rumors brewing up. People, oh, what's this thing? Oh, they're talking about some new project thing. And then, don't announce it at December. You don't want to take away from any Christmas sales from the PS4 or Xbox One X. Wait until February. Everyone spent all the money on holidays. Hey, PS5, here it comes. And then November, here it is. So.
Sounds like a plan.
We'll see what happens, dude. 2019 could be it. Frankie, I think he's a 2020 guy, isn't he?
I don't remember.
I can't remember.
I believe he may be, though.
He may be.
I think 2020 could be the release date for it. But
February announcement and then like a January, February launch.
Could be, yeah. But I do like the early February announcement, the E3 build up, and then the fall release. I like the way that all plays out.
Yeah, it worked good. Stick with it. And the last bit of news, unfortunately, the Chinese Room, the developer behind Dear Esther and Everybody's Gone to Rapture, has laid off a majority of its staff. The Chinese Room has temporarily ceased development and laid off the majority of its staff. Studio co-founder Dan Pinchbeck in a blog post had this to say: the situation between financial pressures, trying to keep the lights on for the employed team, the stress of end of development, health issues, just wasn't a tenable thing anymore. It was time to take a break, recharge, recover, and have a good think about the future. So we let our team go. Layoffs are never pleasant, particularly when you're all trying to wrap a game. Only Pinchbeck, co-founder Jessica Curry, and designer Andrew Crawshaw will remain part of the studio, which will be closing temporarily. At the time of the layoffs in June, the company was finishing up development on its latest project, VR title So Let Us Melt. Pinchbeck still wants to release 2 games currently in the early stages of development, Little Orpheus, and a survival horror RPG called The 13th Interior. In an extensive interview with Eurogamer, Pinchbeck went into the issues further. He had this to say: the leads crunched. The art director, lead programmer, lead designer, me and Jess, most of them didn't actually. They did a couple like, oh, we worked till 7. We were like, well, that's not crunch. But even then, not much. No weekends. A lot of the pressure accumulates at the top. Pinchback closes the post, asking for patience, reassuring fans that this is just the end of a chapter, as the remaining members of the studio take time to figure out what may come next.
He says, we're done with doing walking sims and story stuff.
Yeah, which is disappointing because
which is strange.
Dear Esther and Everybody's Gone to the Rapture were essentially walking sims, but they were very well written, strong stories, and that seems to be their niche. That seems to be their, that's what they do. So I'm very curious to see what they're going to do now. That's just a really, really depressing story.
Yeah, the Chinese room has been in some bizarre situations over the last few years. We've seen some of the letters. I think it might have been that Jessica wrote about some of her experiences making Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, and there's been some weird stuff about this studio over the last few years. They've given off this kind of weird vibe with some of the things that they've done, and this whole situation kind of, once again, just kind of strange that they laid off everybody because they don't have another game, I guess, that they've got a publisher behind right now, and it's just the kind of 3 of them, and they're gonna kind of retool and maybe do something different and not do the walking sim or story stuff, which is, like you said, what they're known for and what they're good at from what we know. I mean, maybe they have a whole nother skill set that we don't know about, but it's just it's a very strange situation. And once again, hopefully everybody that's been affected here at the Chinese room can get back on their feet and either work again with the Chinese room on whatever they end up doing down the line, or find work elsewhere. But it's a strange situation.
Indeed. And like you said, it's just, again, obviously very talented developers. Those 2 games you just mentioned are reviewed very, very well. And everyone's at the top of their game with that studio. So hopefully they do land on their feet. But that's going to do it for this week's show, Mr. Boyce. Another 2-man game in the books. Always a good time doing a show with you, buddy. Where can we find you gaming and tweeting?
As always, Brent, I will be not tweeting at Piccolo930. It's my PSN ID as well. It's also where you can find me on the Switch. We'll be here on our YouTube channel at 10 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday night, doing the Tuesday night Indie Spotlight. More than likely, it'll be a Mystic Bell, so be on the lookout for that this week.
Excellent. You can find me on Twitter at TheDude1979. PSN, Nintendo Switch, TheDude79, and Xbox Live, TheRealDude79. Make sure you visit the website, www.shortpause.com. Frankie's thoughts on Battle Chasers Night War will be up this week. Also, follow us on Twitter at The Short Pause. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Short Pause Gaming. You can also follow us on Twitch, Short Pause Gaming, Mixer, Short Pause Gaming, and Facebook, Short Pause Gaming. You can listen to this podcast on iTunes, SoundCloud, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, and Stitcher, or you can watch it right here on YouTube. If you like this podcast, if you really like it, go over to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating, write out a nice review why you like the show. If you're not quite ready to give us a 5-star rating, that's totally cool. We don't want any fake ones. Come over to the website, go right into the blog post, go into the comment section, let us know your thoughts. If you want to write something really nasty, that's cool. We're down with that as well. Emails, podcast@shortpause.com. We need to hear from you. We want to hear from you. It's the only way the show is going to get better is if we hear from you. Follow Frankie on Twitter at ViperStrike and also Bender at @me_Bender. For Mr. Boyce, I'm Brent Felsing. Thanks again for watching and listening to the Short Pause Gaming Podcast. We'll talk to you next week. Good night, everybody.
See you guys.